Morning, morning, morning. Good morning, Roxanne. Sunday blessings to you as well. Gilan Jackson, morning, Gilan. Morning, Althea. Annette Baird, morning, Annette. Margaret Thomas, morning to you. Morning, Rookman. Lynette Harris, Maureen Washington Smith, morning to you guys. Leon Graves, Holly Legol, morning. Christopher Coffey, morning to you. Glenn Richardson, Marie Nim, morning guys. Rudolph Barnett, morning sir. Morning Diane. Diane Charles, Jeremy Lewis, Dexter Tweets, morning to all of you guys. Sharon Richardson Williams, morning. Dwayne Peters, morning sir. John Cato, morning to you. Ruben Rogers, morning. Neil Francois, always present, morning sir. Cyril Mayas, morning to you. Felix Hospitalis, Ruth Trude, Pamela O'Connor, Kestra Ford, morning guys. Natalie F, J Dimple 66. Will Tippin, Kathy Ann Best, morning to all of you. Ruth Fronton, Estra Blake, morning. Rudolph Barnett, morning sir. Sarah Richards, Anne-Marie Montique, morning to you. Good morning to His Excellency, President of Pleasantville, Nigel O'Connor, and First Lady Marcia Keegan. And I see birthday greetings are in order for the First Lady, Marcia Keegan, and her twin sister as well. So, birthday greetings to you guys. And I trust that it would be a very memorable one. And I know Nigel will make sure of that, Marcia. I'm sure he probably sing happy birthday for you guys already. All right, so yes, you guys can join me in extending birthday greetings to First Lady of Pleasantville. And also today is the birthday of the Prime Minister Designate, Stuart Young, who is celebrating his golden 50 today. 50 not out. Yeah, he doesn't look it. So birthday greetings going out to him as well. Ruth Frontin, Diane Mohammed, Monica Borrell, morning guys. Phyllis Antoine, Carol Myers, morning. Alison Boyce, Judy Bowen, Listra Rock, Joycelyn Small White, morning. Stilling Manwaring, morning to you. Philomen Green, Kathy Ann Townsend, Adriana Alexis, Leonora Bowman, Robert Lewis, morning to all of you guys. Claire Carrington, morning. D. Morning to you. Joy Ragunana, morning, Joy. Emelina Harvey, morning. Nadia Lewis Dixon, Rosemary Headley, morning to all of you. Morning, Lizelle. Angie St. Paul. Angie, morning, Angie. Dandy Sanderford, morning to you. Melka Rock, morning, Melka. What the president say he done cook already? What's the time there? 11:30? Nah, man. But what trouble is this? Nigel, it might have some women here who might want to put you in house, you know. Where is it? Well, you could tell us the menu. Or you could tell me the menu. I tell them. What? Marcia getting treated like royalty today. Julian Parker. Is it Gabri or Gabe Christo? Morning to you. Jennifer Nicholas, Roland Nelson, Daniela Williams. Morning to all of you guys. So, we say good morning as well to Ms. Latouche, who I met earlier at Massey. Ms. Latouche from La Hoqueta. Alison Samuel, morning, Alison. Dexter James, morning to you. Andrew Hodden. Yes, I'm always happy when I meet persons who view the program, because it gives me an idea as to the reach of the program and that the message is getting out, right? And I trust that the information you'll get, that you share it. Hazel Aline, morning. Leon Joseph, morning, Leon, all the way from Toko. Lovely weather in Toko. Virsil Devines, Michael Mapp, morning, sir. PF Cutters, Gerald Pascal Manswell, morning, sir. Kurt Shaw, morning. Andel George. Put that there. So it is 11:27. Apologies for the late start. Also, let me say good morning to Janice. I hope I got it right. So I met her daughter last night, CIC All Inclusive. And Janice is an ardent listener to the program. So I trust all is well with your sister, right? And that she's coming along well after her surgery. And so blessings to her and to you as well. Teresa Thomas, Aries born. So let me jump into it. So much things to talk about, right? And before I get into that one, there was some squatter evictions taking place in the constituency of La Joqueta. A couple of days ago, La Joqueta Talparo, the constituency of Minister Cummings, Minister of Youth Development and National Service, right? And so, after several letters and so on, the HDC would have moved on to the property, state land, and would have evicted persons. Some houses were demolished and the like, and we saw the media was only too happy to present themselves, right? To highlight again, this wicked and evil PNM government who care about poor people, right? Where they want the people to go, where they want the people to do, where they want them to live. So, to add fuel to the fire, they decided to, as I'm reading in the newspaper, they sent a WhatsApp message to Rudal Munilal to get comment from him being the shadow minister of housing. And as was to be expected, the hypocrite that he is, Munilal calls for humane solution after demolitions. Shadow Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Dr. Rudal Munilal, is calling on the government and the Housing Development Corporation to seek a humane solution to the housing impasse in Ramjat and Trace in Arima. Munilal says the Commissioner of State Land should also work with the HDC to provide emergency shelter to the displaced occupiers of the state lands. That should be the approach concerning all squatters on state lands. Listen to him, he waxing poetic. Evicting families amid the current economic collapse will only place them on the streets. What economic collapse? What economic collapse is he talking about? Republic Bank, a couple days ago, just declared first quarter profits of over $500 million. An increase, I think, of some 8% or some $44 million over the corresponding period last year. So last year, Republic posted, I think, something like in the vicinity of about $2 billion in profits. And they're on track this year to surpass that $2 billion for fiscal 2024-2025. But this clown talking about economic collapse. I went to San Fernando yesterday for the second leg of the judging for Junior Calypso Monarch. Right? So yesterday was the South Zone judging. And on my way back, I reached Shogunus and I look across by Brentwood, right? And I see Brentwood Mall, the extension, phase 2 and phase 3 of Brentwood Mall is well underway. Well underway, right? But he's talking about economic collapse. All these things that are happening, all these businesses that are booming, new malls and so on that are opening at a pace that wasn't taking place between 2010 to 2015, when it is they want you to believe that Trinidad and Tobago was performing at its best from an economic standpoint in the history of the country. Under no other prime minister other than Kamla Persad-Bissessar has this country thrived economically than between 2010 to 2015. And I know the minions don't like us to go back to that period, but they must always refer to it. Yeah? Because in order for them to prop up the leader and to give her some kind of stock, they're always talking about all the things that she did between 2010 to 2015 and laptop and she gave a baby grant and all of these different things and children's life fund and stuff. Trying to profit off her past glories, things that happened over 10 years ago. So they must go back to 2010 to 2015. But when we talk about it, they only going back in the past and going back to 2010. But you all like to go back as far as 1970 and talk about O'Halloran and Privat. So you all could go back 5 and 6 decades. So we can't go back to 1 decade. Well, you're ridiculous. Ridiculous. Look, Eastgate Mall, the newest mall in the East, is almost fully tenanted. Right? Almost every week, you're seeing some new business opening a branch in Eastgate Mall. Look how fast that the stores or the stores in that mall have filled up. I think a couple of days ago, Tuesday, they finally opened the bowling alley called the Alley of East Gates, right? So we have a bowling alley now in East Trinidad. So those of you who want to participate in that activity, you could come up the road and patronize. We didn't have that before between 2010 to 2015. I keep telling you all, drive down Nasalura Maya Road when you're heading central and see all of the new malls and new businesses that open in there. But he coming to tell you nonsense about economic collapse. In Arima, a new mall is going to be open shortly, right? Just behind Royal Bank. I think that is owned by the Maraj family, Baliram Maraj, who is the mayor of Arima. They open in because they have up a big sign, a big billboard, space for rent, right? And they have a artist design of what the building is supposed to look like, what the mall is supposed to look like. You drive down, heading west, just after you pass the latest Extra Foods Plaza, where they have big, they have restaurants inside there, casino, all of that inside there, but economic collapse. Right behind there, there's a new strip mall going up. Huge, soon to be complete, but talking nonsense about economic collapse. And if you were to do a comparative between 2010 to 2015 when they were there, and the amount of businesses of that nature that opened compared to the last 4 years, chalk and cheese. But they had to talk that stupidness for the benefit of their supporters, who have nothing else to talk about and only want to bad talk the government, and all they could latch on to is 2.6 billion missing and 2.6 billion unaccounted for, and the Privy Council say that Mbud should be investigated. That's all they could talk about. No substance. Wouldn't take the time to do a little bit of research to find out what exactly caused the 2.6 billion. Right? But that is the mantra, 2.6 billion missing, and Rowley go in and resign, and the 2.6 billion still unaccounted for. And again, I will ask the question every time I raise that. Has the meeting taken place between the Central Bank and the Auditor General, which should put this matter to rest once and for all? Why is the Auditor General so silent on that? She felt the need to put it in her affidavit that when she first requested to meet with the Central Bank, she was denied. Her request was denied. But since September, you spoke with the Central Bank and you all came to an agreement that you will meet to resolve this matter once and for all. So what has happened since then? The sense of urgency that you had to meet with the Central Bank before has dissipated. You no longer want to meet with them in an urgent manner. I just asking. Because I would think after almost 5 months, by now, you would have spoken to that issue, given the national importance of SAME. And I'm sure the Auditor General has some sort of Facebook, or not Facebook, but social media presence. And I am sure she sees the comments being made by citizens with respect to that 2.6 billion and the belief that a lot of people have that it still hasn't been resolved. But at the end of last month, the 31st of January, the Ministry of Finance was required to submit another report, not so? For fiscal 2024. So 2023 remains unresolved, but you've gotten 2024, you have any issues with it? You had the same problems that you did last year? No? I wonder why. Because if you did, we would have heard about it, right? And if the meeting took place, how come you tell the UNC for them to come and report it? If Mbud lying, if Mbud is a liar, and the explanation that he gave for the 2.6 billion is not the truth, it had nothing to do with the electronic check clearing system. We're waiting on to feed that information to the UNC so that they could beat it like a rented mule. Huh? Or is it that you had the meeting? They showed you what went wrong. You are satisfied, but you would leave it at that. You ain't going to say nothing because you feel, I don't have to tell the public anything. Anyway, I leave it to Mr. Mbud and what calls itself media in this country to look into that. But I was making the point about the demolition of these houses and the hypocrisy of Rudal Munilal, right? He said, Munilal says the Commissioner of State Land should also work with the HDC to provide emergency shelter to the displaced occupiers of state lands. That should be the approach concerning all squatters on state lands. Evicting families amid the current economic collapse would only place them on the streets, vulnerable to crime and at risk of further social challenges. In fact, crime will escalate as the poverty-ridden and the unemployed are thrown onto the streets, Munilal said. Munilal made the comment in reply to a question posed to him by Express via WhatsApp yesterday. So the Express saw it fit to send a question to him, knowing the bacchanalist that he is. The response came following the demolition of at least 8 homes in a squatter settlement off Tumpuna Road, where at least 2 affected women told the Express that they had nowhere to go, and despite seeking help from their Member of Parliament, Foster Cummings, none was forthcoming. The Minister of Housing should be mindful that the Ramjatan Trace squatters opted to set up and occupy illegal structures because of their financial helplessness, Munilal said. Listen to that hypocrisy. The Minister of Housing should be mindful that the Ramjatan Trace squatters opted to set up and occupy illegal structures because of their financial helplessness. The Minister has a duty to intervene and work towards a humane and compassionate solution. The elected Member of Parliament must also be proactive to defend vulnerable citizens who occupy lands as a desperate measure in the absence of any state program to assist. Absence of state program to assist. Apparently, he never heard about the HVIP program, the Home and Village Improvement Program, where the government is spending up to $200,000 to build a 2-bedroom concrete house for people who have, some of whom are squatting, right? In squatter settlements that have been around for a long time. And the government basically is trying to avoid the creation of new squatter settlements on state lands that have been earmarked for the construction of HTC homes. Munilal said under the People's Partnership Administration, the Land for the Landless was initiated, and the then government distributed 10,000 lots of land to poor and vulnerable families. 10,000 lots, really? Really, Munilal? 10,000? Where distributed that 10,000? When the Express contacted affected residents around 6 p.m. yesterday, they said they were told an attorney would be visiting the community to speak with the residents, and Munilal too had contacted them, vowing to take their case to Parliament. The political opportunist that he is, right? So he already contacted them, and I know you were dealing with the UNC because I'm a lawyer to talk to all. Yes, the UNC is on your side. You all remember 2010, the same stunt they pulled, where the government then, the Manning administration, had engaged in a similar exercise with respect to illegal squatter settlements, where they were demolishing homes and so on. And Kamla Prasad Bisesa decided that she would be the lawyer to represent, and she went to court and she was successful. You remember that? That helped them in 2010 to get into office. The squatters that they helped. Yeah, Miss Kamala. Yeah, we want to thank Miss Kamala because she come to the rescue and she helped we. And this wicked government, Manning and them ain't care about nobody. They only care about the 1%. But Miss Kamala come and she helped we. Remember? And then what happened? As soon as she won the election, all of a sudden everybody considered her to be, yeah, well, you see, she went to court and she helped all them squatters and them, so she's supporting squatters. And places called Cashew Gardens and Pineapple Smith and all kind of thing. Remember with Robocop? And all of a sudden, people just went and started to grab state land and putting up shack. People started to put up concrete foundation and stuff to claim that they were there for the longest while. And when the situation became overwhelming, what happened? They had no choice but to move in and demolish these settlements. And then Robocop had to come and say, well, thing with Kamla and whatever. You know, she went to court and she helped the squatters. So people just figure, well, she supported that and she did it to get into office. And then afterwards now, come and say, we will not tolerate squatting. It is illegal and so on. And after they demolished the people's homes in Cashew Gardens, Pineapple Smith and other areas, she then said, next we will be moving to La Brea. Went down La Brea. True to form, throw down a man's house, but the man in the house, and there were reports, and they had to call the ambulance because the man was bleeding through his ears and nose. They didn't care. He didn't want to come out of the house while the house going down, whether you're in it or you're outside. Where was the compassion then? Let me read from this hypocrite back then. Let me get this here. So. Right, let me get this article. Munilal, Cashew Gardens demolition was necessary, the 20th of June 2010. Housing Minister Dr. Rudal Munilal said Friday's demolition of shacks at Cashew Gardens is a warning to all citizens, who are considering breaking the law and building on state lands. It is really a message to others who may want to attempt moving onto state lands and construct illegal structures that they should desist. The housing minister made the statement yesterday while speaking with reporters at Avocat Junction at the start of the annual Labor Day celebrations. Munilal said Friday's action was regrettable However, he maintained that it was necessary. It was necessary. The illegal squatters, he said, were warned during the week. We asked, we begged, we pleaded. We did everything that we could. However, Munilal said in the end that the law had to be enforced. The minister added that there were few people who chose to break the law, and it is something we had to do pursuant to the law. We could not have people encroaching on lands and constructing illegal dwelling places or whatever. It is a small area and a few people who are conducting themselves in that manner. Regrettably, we had to take action in that manner, Munilal said. We have asked that the army and the police service maintain a presence in that area over the next few weeks, and we will be patrolling the area to ensure that no one goes back. Munilal dismissed claims that the government acted illegally. Everyone knows we did not act in an ad hoc manner. We gave enough time and we gave enough consideration. The law was followed. So in 2010, as minister, he understands the law and why it is you mustn't encourage squatting. All right? But in 2025, a humane approach is needed. The HDC has a responsibility, and the LSA has a responsibility, because if you evict the people, you know, they are economically vulnerable and the like, and what they will do, they will end up in a life of crime, and they will end up on the street, and other social issues. So that didn't exist in 2010 when you all did that. Let me highlight another piece of hypocrisy. Where is it? No, let me get it here. Munilal vows to crush land grab, will protect citizens. Housing Minister Rudal Munilal took a tough stand Friday against illegal squatters, telling Parliament that the People's Partnership government will have a zero-tolerance policy on people illegally occupying state lands. This grab for land will not be tolerated, and there will be zero tolerance in this regard, Munilal stated, adding that the land grabbing represented the actions of a few misdirected, ill-informed, and ill-advised persons. He was speaking at the recent situation at Cashew Gardens in central Trinidad, where police had to be called in to demolish dozens of shacks put up by squatters in the past few weeks. Zero tolerance approach, vows to crush land grab. Yeah, hear the kind of language. We will crush land grab. But today, you're singing a different tune. We have to take care of the vulnerable and the poor. And the UNC will do that. Don't worry, I will take your plight to Parliament for you to fool or later get votes. Because you realize La Hoqueta Talparo, right? Well, you figure that is still a marginal seat. Up to now, you don't have a candidate for there as yet. But you're trying to make overtures to the people. Rather than, you know about obeying the law in 2010. Oh, yes. As minister, you were the minister of housing. You had control over HDC. So all the things you're talking about now, about what the minister's supposed to do and the responsibilities of the minister and the LSA which fell under you, you didn't know that in 2010. But you know it in 2025, right? And you have some people who will buy into that folly and vote for them. Because, Munilal coming like a knight in shining armor to rescue. It's only a matter of time before the political leader reach to. Yeah, if it is she able to, you know, if she can muster the stamina. Because, you know, these days she has to ration her stamina. Do I go to Parliament? Do I go to the Monday Night Forum? Because, you know, if I go to the Monday Night Forum, I'll die it for the rest of the week. Can't make a note after that. So, these days she has to pick and choose now what she could do. 2-3 activities for the week. That's about it. Anything more than that is a stretch. You're begging, you're pushing the envelope there. Ease me up. Right? She ain't getting any younger. Right. But you still want to hold on to leadership of the UNC. Please continue to hold on to leadership of the UNC. So, bunch of jokers, yes. Today's Guardian, front page. Corruption cases stalled. Despite $1 billion spent, investigations into EMBD and LifeSport shelved due to TTPS delays. I told you all a couple of days ago about a gentleman who I knew to be a staunch PNM supporter, who someone who I thought would have been pleased with my selection to be the PNM's candidate for Malabar Mausika. And so when he told me, I told you all, he said, when I told him, and he said, you making my go back there, boy? I done with them and I wash my hands, I think, because all them people who do wrong thing from the UNC and nobody ain't get locked up. All that money thief and nobody ain't get locked up. So it is all they really doing. So I voting for thing. Corrupt cases stalled. Investigations into EMBD and LifeSport shelved. Hear that word? Shelved due to TTPS delays. EMBD and live sports investigation shelved. So put it up on the shelf, right? Now let's put that in our box there. We ain't dealing with that for a while. We are in an election year where we have current and former politicians. Well, let's focus on the current politicians who are accused of significant wrongdoing to the tune of tens of millions and in some cases hundreds of millions of dollars, who are still sitting in our parliament today, who are offering themselves for another term in the parliament and are hoping to serve on the government bench where they will have unfettered access to the treasury to engage in activities of which they now stand accused from their first term in government, some of them, 2010 to 2015. One would think that the police would give priority, right, to bringing these cases to some conclusion, given the fact that these investigations are over 10 years old. Where is the same level of alacrity and the same level of urgency and due diligence shown in this investigation pertaining to the importation of 2 high-powered rifles? We have the highest ranks of the police service involved in that investigation that speaks to 2 high-powered rifles being imported into the country. But we give more prominence and importance to that as opposed to cases involving sitting politicians who may have stolen tens of millions of dollars and assisted others to steal tens of millions of dollars from the treasury. That's not important. We're not giving or showing the same level of urgency to that 10 years later, which is why I still have to keep complaining about Prison Gate. Well, I guess Prison Gate probably shelved too. 2 lawyers accused of defrauding the state, right? Cutting and pasting witness statements since 2014, 11 years now. So I think based on what we read in here, we could safely assume that Prison Gate has been shelved and we should not expect anything to come out from that anytime at all, anytime soon, if ever. Police investigations into the EMBD and live sport matters, which were being led by British investigator Kate McMahon or McMahon, a special reserve police, have been shelved. Guardian Media was told that despite the work by McMahon's team being close to completion, it has been put on pause. McMahon's team was contracted and funded by the government and worked alongside the TTPS, although, right, through the Anti-Corruption Investigations Bureau on several police investigations. McMahon's team also used Ed Jenkins' King Counsel for legal guidance to build up the cases. The work fell largely under the ambit of former Commissioner of Police Gary Griffith. Guardian Media was told that during and after Griffith's departure, McMahon's work was being stymied and stalled by the TTPS as requests for warrants to be executed were not completed. There seems to be a lack of responsibility toward completing it, the source said. An informed source explained that the evidence gathered can still be used, provided it meets the required threshold and the work can be completed if there is a commitment to doing so. Thus far, it has been reported that McMahon's team has collected $50 million in fees. In 2015, the PNM campaigned against the People's Partnership government over the 2 high-profile corruption cases, EMBD and live sport. The total amount spent on the 2 matters had already exceeded $1 billion in taxpayers' dollars. The TTPS could not immediately provide an update on the matter. Why am I not surprised? Because we're busy investigating the importation of 2 high-powered rifles, and we're investigating the police commissioner, or the suspended police commissioner, because she signed off. Probably didn't read wherever it is because she trusted her subordinates to do their work. So that when the file reaches on my desk, everything is above board, I's have been dotted, T's have been crossed, and it's just for me to fix my signature because I trust all y'all. I know how to do the work. I shouldn't have to be going through this thing, possibly. All right? But we could focus on that. This investigation that emanated or started in 2023 or so, we almost complete that. But 10 years now. The MBD matter involved 2 elements, a civil and a criminal matter. You hear that, right? But the man, one of the most high-profile persons involved in this EMBD matter, former minister under whom EMBD fell, Rudal Munilal, keeps telling you, this is a civil matter. This is a civil matter. This is not a criminal matter. The 2020 status report on the EMBD matter alleged a top former government official orchestrated a scheme that resulted in significant funds being secured and spent by EMBD in the 6 weeks before the general election on the 7th of September 2015, approximately 549 million. 6 weeks before the general election, right? Election campaigns have to be funded. They're not cheap. Okay? So we siphon the money to contractors and hey, let's give you a kickback to be able to fund our election campaign because we need to win a second term. Could have more money to thief. Can't thief all in one term. By the time, right, according to the report, the official was able to implement the fraudulent scheme with the assistance of EMBD companies owned by his apparently close acquaintances who were invited to tender for a road contract. I don't know why it is only talking in secret and code. Call the man name. Because you have a big picture of him. It goes on. By the time the tender had come around, the EMBD's estimates for the cost of the roads had been arbitrarily inflated to 416,340,445 by name called. This meant the bidders could bid higher, the report said. Call the man name now. In 2020, a Guardian Media exclusive reported an email from McMahon to the PTPS in which she raised concern about the EMBD matter. At the time, she said that her team had intensified their communications with the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions in relation to the cases we are seeking to charge. We ready to charge, but we need only to do certain things. So this man should have been intimately acquainted with silver police bracelets. How much years now? Since 2020? But he sat down and he lull off in Parliament. Right? Join himself in Parliament and looking forward to another 5 years and talking about the term of this PNM is coming to an end. When we come back in, we will do this and we will do that and we will turn Balize House into a home for vagrants. And it's already a home for vagrants. You expect to get the votes of PNM supporters. Right? But saying that Balize House is already a house or a home for vagrants. So who are you referring to as the vagrants? Not PNM supporters. The same ones that you want to get votes from, right? That making sense to you. I continue. She indicated that there were 3 cases now being actively investigated. EMBD, LiveSpot, and EFCL. And 2 which are currently being assessed for charge by the DPP. And the 3rd, which is at an advanced stage and has warrants to be executed, which will, we believe, reveal money laundering and funding for the 2015 election via government contract fees. So they were ready to lay charges in 2 of these cases. And the 3rd was at an advanced stage and warrants needed to be executed. 2 out of the 3 were ready to lay charges, right? So people should have been locked up. All right. This since 2020, we're in 2025. She added that there are reasonable grounds to suspect criminal behavior. McMahon also pointed out a 3rd matter which has also been considered. We wish to execute a search soon on name called, but they didn't put the name here, who is central to our investigation with the ACIB. This is an important matter of public policy, and we urge that on the evidence as it stands, there are reasonable grounds to suspect criminal behavior and warrant a search, McMahon said. McMahon noted that with a search warrant under Section 5(1) of the Indictable Offences Preliminary Inquiry Act, there is a general authority granted to a police officer to search specified premises in accordance with a validly issued search warrant under this section. She said once the magistrate was satisfied that the place in question to search may have evidence as to commission of any such offense, the DPP's permission is not needed. So you didn't need the DPP's permission. So you just needed the police officer to do his job and for them to apply to the magistrate based on the evidence gathered. Probable cause. She said she was optimistic that the DPP may see fit to advance the cases we have put before him. The UK firm partner advised that unless the warrant was particularly tricky or difficult, the officer should be encouraged to A, not go to the DPP for assistance with routine policing, and B, if they do have concerns or need help, they use the TTPS legal department. With the criminal aspect on hold pending the police investigation, the EMBD has sought to retrieve taxpayers' dollars through civil cases called the cartel claim. Last year, the Privy Council refused permission to some of the contractors to appeal the refusal of the Court of Appeal not to throw the multi-million-dollar claim against them or provide better particulars of the allegations. The substantive lawsuit centers around 12 contracts for the rehabilitation of roads and infrastructure granted to 5 contractors before the September 2015 general election. Contractors TN Ramnath Limited, its CEO Taradath Ramnath, Calco and Motilal Ramhit and Sons Contracting Limited had initiated proceedings against the state-owned special purpose company for almost 200 million balance owed on their respective contracts. The EMBD countersued the contractors, claiming they conspired with Motilal, former EMBD CEO Gary Pamasa, ex-divisional manager Maru Balrup, and engineer Andrew Walker to corruptly obtain the contracts. Also sued by EMBD are Fides Limited, Namalco Construction Services Limited, and LCB Contractors Limited. And then they talk about live sport. It has been 10 years since the controversial live sport program ended, and no one has yet been held accountable. In 2020, police status reports on the matter, TTPS said it had obtained in excess of 25 production orders against individuals and banking organizations that interviewed many witnesses, which has generated valuable new evidence in support of allegations. Evidence. It is alleged that a number of persons from the Ministry of Sport, the sport company, and contractor companies associated with the delivery of the live sport program were involved in various conspiracies to misappropriate funds allocated to the program for their own use and benefit. A total of 349.5 million was allocated to live sport between 2012 to 2014, funded through a combination of budgetary allocations made by the Ministry of Sport and bank loans done in consultation with the Ministry of Finance and the Economy. So they borrowed a thief. And today, this administration repaying those loans and the interest attached to those loans. But all they want to know where the money gone and what they're spending the money on. Yes, that too. A significant portion of those funds are alleged to have been misappropriated by many individuals at all levels of the program. This includes a number of high-ranking public officials, allegedly funneling millions of dollars out of the program to purchase real estate, boats, vehicles, and to fund weddings, among other things, the document said. You hear that? Real estate, they're buying a house, Trinidad and abroad. Boats, vehicles, funding weddings, or they get an invitation, your taxpayer money. It noted the police investigation began in 2015 and that one suspect has been assisting the TTPS with investigations, providing key information about how the program was manipulated to enable so many individuals to obtain personal benefits to the detriment of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. A 2014 audit done by the Ministry of Finance's Central Audit Committee revealed that the program has been riddled with financial irregularities, had coordinators with criminal backgrounds, massive fraud, millions misspent, ghost centers, ghost participants, improper procurement, and there were major theft of state funds. This is coming out of an audit report that was done under Larry Hawaii, not under Coleman Burt. This was done under Larry Hawaii. And all these things that I just mentioned here, let me call it again. The Central Audit Committee revealed that the program had been riddled with financial irregularities, had coordinators with criminal backgrounds, massive fraud, millions misspent, ghost centers, ghost participants, improper procurement, and there were major thefts of state funds. This is a report generated under the Audit Committee, Central Audit Committee under Larry Hawaii, who was a member of the cabinet at the time. So they can't say this is PNM voodoo. And this is, you know what they love to say, this is PNM propaganda. No. The PNM wasn't responsible for this. It's this very same audit report that resulted in Kamla Prasad-Bissessar going to Parliament and announcing that the live sport program was being brought to an end. And she quoted all of these things here and promised the persons who were supposed to be the main beneficiaries, the young men, the at-risk youth, the at-risk African youth who were supposed to benefit and who benefited the least, because all they were getting was breakfast and lunch and their stipend every fortnight or every month, and they had to give half of that stipend to whoever, these coordinators with the criminal background, because they weren't going to any classes. Never forget, a man got $34 million to teach these classes, maths and English, and he never, not one day did he pick up a sticker chalk or a whiteboard marker. Said that the ministry was supposed to facilitate the centers and all of the equipment and so on, and they didn't do that, so he couldn't uphold his part because they didn't do theirs. But he keeping the 34 million. Today he has gone to the great beyond, and well, the matter was brought to court, and the court found that the money has to be returned to the state. All right, we don't know what is the final outcome with respect to that. While millions were lost in padded invoices to contractors, companies the likes of which were called dustbin divers. You remember that? Jack Warner gave us the whole listing when we won the Sunshine Hour, and we dealt with that comprehensively. The 34 million payment to educator Adolphus Daniel to teach numeracy and technology to people in the program was the single biggest payment of the program for no work. In August last year, High Court Judge Eleanor Donaldson Honeywell upheld the sports company lawsuit with Daniel's company eBeam Interact Limited and ordered it to pay almost $30 million. Sport TT also pursued a case against its former chief executive officer, John Mullentile, and 13 former board directors for their role in approving the contract with eBeam. The judgment in this case is still pending. When she laid the report in Parliament, then former Prime Minister Prasad Bisesa said she had forwarded a copy to the DPP, the Commissioner of Police, the Integrity Commission, and Head of the Public Service. So you know who's covered under the Integrity Commission. But after she did all of that, she had full confidence in this report. But when it is two people whose names get called up in the report, Ashwin Creed, and I can't remember the other guy's name, both of whom said, well, we didn't get an opportunity to respond to the findings of the report, and therefore we are challenging the report on that basis because due process was not followed. And we are saying that is a travesty of justice, right? The court was only asked to deliberate on that. The court was never asked to deliberate on the substance of the report, right? The court was invited to make a decision or to give a judgment on the claim by these two men, and I think some others, who said they did the investigation, they complete their report, but they didn't ask us nothing. They didn't show us what they found, what they were told, so that we could give explanation for what, and they generated this report, and then the judge said, here what? We hear that, we agree. So I am instructing that the report be done over, and this time that they interview you guys and give you the opportunity to say your piece, to present to you what are the allegations, the claims made against you, what are the findings against you, and give you an opportunity to explain yourself so they could include your side of the story in the report. All right? The bald-headed lout that he is comes saying, oh, victory, victory. The court said that the report was fraudulent. The court said that the finding that it was lies and all of that. Court never said that, you know. The judge never spoke about the contents of the report. Was never asked to do that. But he come and telling people, yeah, the court said they threw out the report, it was fraudulent and lies and all of that and propaganda. And Prasad Bisesa used that as the pretext to go in the political cemetery and perform an act of political necromancy and dig up that corpse. That corpse that I always say should have been encased under 60 feet of concrete. Right? He should never have left the political cemetery, but she went and performed necromancy, political necromancy, and resurrected him. And today we have to put up with the likes of that in the Senate and other places. And then she come in and say, Anel was vindicated. He was vindicated. Really? Was he vindicated? Because the matter is still under police investigation. Well, now it's shelved. In an election year, we are hearing that these two serious matters, or three serious matters, have been shelved. Because apparently the police have more important things to deal with, like investigating the importation of 2 high-powered rifles. That's more important. So we have no interest in showing that persons who should never be allowed within 10,000 feet of the Treasury ever again. We are not interested in ensuring that they are brought to justice and that they are kept far from the Treasury. We're not interested in that. That's not important. But I asked the question, in 2020, when Justice Aboud rendered the judgment, right? Why was it that the attorneys for all of these contractors and Munilal and whoever and whatever asked the court not to release the report or the judgment until after the general election? Why did they make that request of the judge? Because when you read the judgment, it is very damning. And I read for you all. Let me remind all you, some more, right? Who might have missed it, the newer ones. Page 36 of the judgment, or 38, right? Which gives you the transcripts of the WhatsApp messages between Rudal Munilal and Mr. Pamasa, who, as it says here, was some big manager in EMB. Just a little snippet, right? WhatsApp message number 3. Mr. Parmesar to Dr. Munilal, 5 messages, December 1st, 2014. Afternoon, I am told your instructions are to terminate KJS from the 2 sites he is on. Can you confirm? This is a reference to the exchange 2 and picked on 3 sites. Dr. Munilal's reply is not known. Just now, let me get this here. Where is it? Mr. Parmesar to Dr. Munilal, 25th October 2014. Minister, good afternoon. Thank you very much for the private meeting and the confidence you have placed in me thus far. It is greatly appreciated and I'm honored to be part of your team. Thank you again very much. Mr. Parmesar to Dr. Munilal. Morning, Chief. This is November the 3rd. I trust you had a good weekend. I was just asked to make arrangements for interviews for the position of CEO of the EMBD. Dylan McKenzie, off the record, told me that he has to meet with the chairman to do the shortlist. I am asking for your assistance in this matter as I would like to be the chosen person. So forget proper procedure with respect to recruitment, right? You are the minister, so asking you to do me a favor now. I want to work. I want to be the CEO. So you see this shortlisting, and you might have people who are more qualified, but I want to work since I'm part of your team. He goes on, right? I'm asking for your assistance in this matter, and I would like to be the chosen person. You know I am willing and ready to work with you in getting the job done. What job is that, boy? Any assistance in making this happen will be greatly appreciated. Dr. Munilal replied, noted. Noted. He didn't tell him, man, nah, we don't operate so. What are you trying to do, man? There's a process. Right? He said that, you know, he said, noted. All right? Mr. Parmesar to Dr. Munilal. So let me get this here. Right. Mr. Parmesar to Dr. Munilal on the 3rd of December 2014. I enjoyed the line last night, and it was an honor to hear you say that I am the newest member of the crew. On Saturday, I would like you to meet my wife. Dr. Munilal responds to Mr. Parmesar. 3rd of December 2014. I need $25 million for Ramhit on Felicity project and $10 million for Calco. Text messages between Mr. Parmesar and Munilal on the 18th of... Right, so that was on the 13th of December, right? Munilal is telling Parmesar he needs $25 million for Ramhit on the Felicity project and he needs $10 million for Calco. Don't know which project. Parmesar to Dr. Munilal on the 18th. Document for Ramhit being prepared. Problems with Calco as it is variations that was not approved. Chairman told me I am not to make any payments to him. Chair also told me to tell you he is instructing me not to pay. Dr. Munilal, to Calco? Mr. Parmesar, yes, to Calco. Dr. Munilal, what about Ramhit? Parmesar, payment will be ready in the morning. It went for one signature and engineer giving me certificate also. Daniel has the check but wants to see certificate first. Dr. Munilal, good. Dr. Munilal, send a check for me to give to Ramhit tomorrow. Mr. Parmesar, will so do. Dr. Munilal, need to pay Calco some money. Mr. Parmesar, okay, Chief. I think we can make $4 million. Dr. Munilal, that is safe. Give me the check Monday. Prepare the check. We'll have to confirm, but I know he submitted invoice for that amount. Mr. Parmesar, will do. The 5th of January 2015, Dr. Munilal, sandpit in Milton, Couva. You know about that? Parmesar, it is a new sandpit we are exploring the idea of opening. Dr. Munilal, want to lease to Ramhit and Calco. Mr. Parmesar, understood. But we're now making applications. It is still something off, but I will accelerate. Dr. Munilal, fast forward. Parmesar to Munilal, Chief, good night. As you see, I don't really ask for much, but I am asking for assistance in obtaining a single unit family home in Egypt. HTC development in Egypt village known as Oasis Green. Asgar has all my info, but I will also appreciate any assistance, which will be great, right? Any assistance will be greatly appreciated. Parmesar to Munilal, and he gives his reference number and so on. And then he reminds Mr. Munilal again and so on. Now, here it is that you have the Minister of Housing giving instructions to some senior person a state enterprise, to prepare 2 checks, one for 25 million and one for 10. Bring it for him, the minister, so that the minister could deliver it to the contractor. Right? Since when ministers are couriers? Is that the process? Because I know when checks are ready, you would send your courier, you send whoever, and you go and you sign for receiving the check and so on, and public servants do that. The minister doesn't say, bring the check for me and I will carry it for the contractor. But they all over the place, recusal. How much time Stuart Young recused himself and how much time Paris recused himself? But you, as the minister, telling man prepare check for 25 million and 10 million, and you go in and hand deliver it personally to the contractor. The contractor bigger than you. Now, if it was a PNM minister had done that, oh boy, you would have heard them. They want everybody and their brother to investigate. Right? They weren't going to let that rest. And the supporters would have been talking about that non-stop, like they're talking about the $2.6 billion that not missing, but they just want it to be missing. But here it is that we have in transcripts and a judgment is telling you that the man who was your minister of housing and who hopes to be minister of housing again or whatever, and who probably hopes one day to be the leader of the UNC, is giving instructions to prepare $1 million checks to come to him so he could go to the contractor and deliver it himself. What is his relationship with the contractor? So that when decisions were being taken to give these contracts, did he recuse himself? I'm asking, because clearly he has a relationship with the contractor. If you as minister could take the check and carry it by the contractor house or wherever it is all you're meeting, probably in Rudy's Corner. Remember he had a place in Hyatt called Rudy's Corner where they used to eat cookies. What the woman say? Oreo cookies. Remember that? Why the supporters not talking about this? Well, you have no problem with that. But Foster Cummins take a loan from the credit union for 14 million or something like that. And investigate. All they want investigation into Colmingwood because one of the law lords for the Privy Council said that his conduct should be investigated. Which conduct? As she said, claims made by the Auditor General that the minister was biased. That he put together this probe or this investigative team to investigate her because he was biased against her. And the law lord said that this is a claim made rightly or wrongly by the Auditor General, but the only way you could determine whether she was right or wrong is to conduct an investigation or to include the minister in the probe as well, to find out whether or not he really acted in a biased manner. But them calling him both supposed to be behind bars and lock up here, the Privy Council say to investigate him, I ask them to investigate him for what? They can't tell you. For what? But they want investigation into that. But you have a man who is hoping to be part of the next government of Trinidad and Tobago, is in a judgment, text messages, which the judge spoke to and expressed his concern about that, asking for $25 million and $10 million to go and hand deliver to a contractor. What discussion was that? What the contractor would be happy and say, hey, Rudy, bye, thanks, sir. That's the end of the conversation. Well, election coming up, so we need a little some funding. I wonder if that is how the discussion went. Where is Philip Alexander? Who want to tell you all kind of thing, why you shouldn't vote for the PNM and the PNM corrupt and all kind of thing. I wonder if Philip read this judgment and what are his thoughts on it. I wonder. All of those mouthpieces for the UNC, what are your thoughts on that? Was that proper? And again, I ask the question, when the decision was taken to award these contracts, did Mr. Munilal recuse himself? Seeing as how he was the line minister, one, and two, he clearly had a very close relationship with these two contractors. But that's okay. The supporters have no issue with that. Yeah, forget that. You have bigger fish to fry. What's the fish you had to fry? 2.6 billion missing. All right, 2.6 billion missing. Okay, no problem. The PNM, the Ministry of Trade, spent $26,000 to buy some scanners, some hand scanners, or whatever it is, and the company was bogus. Yes, we want an investigation into that. So you're not concerned about the minister calling for money? Being told, well, we have issues with respect to Calco and certain things, so we can't pay that right now. Well, I could arrange a $4 million for, all right, organize it now and bring the check for me. The media talking about that? This is a public judgment. You all ever saw the media put that on the front page? Munilal instructed persons to bring the check for him to deliver. You all ever saw that in the front page, the second page, the third page, the fourth page, any page? I didn't see it. You know why I see it? I had to go and dig up to find the judgment. That is where I saw it. But they could call me to ask me about my past with the ILP. But you can't go and interrogate a judgment to inquire from Munilal, or you know, to send him text message and WhatsApp message to ask him about his thoughts on squatters being evicted. But you couldn't send him a text to ask him about that part of the judgment and what are his thoughts, whether this is true or not. That is not, we're not interested in that. So when we read that and we understand why it is, they ask the judge, do not publish the judgment until after the 2020 election. Was for what purpose? You didn't want that information to come out to be in the public domain so you could lose. So you wanted to hide information from the public that would affect their decision one way or another as to how the UNC supporters forget them. They are hopeless case. They are hopeless case. They will see Munilal in handcuffs and still come and get it as the big flag and escort him to nomination, right? To the EBC office for nomination. So they couldn't care less about that. They'll come and tell it like PNM propaganda and all of these kind of things, right? This court saw the transcript of the exchanges. But he wants to be in the next government. You have a man on $1 million bail for fraud. Then we have the EFCL, which was also mentioned here, where very early on in the life of this administration, remember they found the contract mill, a room, a back office in the EFCL building, which I think was somewhere in Maraval there, where they found 3 people backdating contracts. Backdating contracts. It was reported that monies were already paid for the work that these contracts treated with. But they were now backdating the contracts to give it to the contractor so they could come to the current government and say, well, look, we have contract here for this work and we get paid. So look, we're coming to get paid a second time. So the first time they get paid, no contract, no documentation, but they collect check. We got to deal with that after because we feel we're going and win the election. So we're going to handle that after. But then you come and you lose. And so what you did, you had to create a contract mill now. Well, you drop them contract and then pass it and make sure you put it your back date. So how much months or a year back and give it to the contractor so they could come now and say, well, look, we had this contract since a year now and we do the work, but we didn't get paid. So we come to get paid. But they want to go back into office. So when he's telling you this is a civil matter, it was under active police investigation, but now we are hearing it is being shelved because the TTPS has more important things to investigate. Like the commissioner suspended sign off on FUL to import these 2 high-powered rifles, right? So these people are allowed to go scot-free to contest the election and possibly end up in government, where they will have the power and the wherewithal to make evidence disappear, where they will have the power to ensure that these matters remain on a shelf or end up in a shredder, that these matters do not come before the court, do not see the light of day in any courthouse or any courtroom, at least for the next 5 years. And whatever happened between 2010 to 2015 that we don't know about, that we haven't heard about yet, that they know about, that they will have an opportunity in 5 years to be able to deal with that and cover up that to ensure that it's never heard about. But put them back into office. Put them back. Meanwhile, you have the loudmouth lout all over the place talking, yapping, because he's scot-free. He figure he's good. Why the media not treat her with this issue? Where are the talking heads? Why Ralph Maraj not writing about this? Why isn't Martin Daly writing about this? All the rest of them. Where is Selwyn Kojo? All of them who love to accuse the PNM of being corrupt. Where is Suzette Lower? You have nothing to say? And Philip, where are you? Nothing to say? That's okay. You're not interested in that. So you will pretend. Right? Now, me buy no Guardian. What's the headline there? Forget that. I ain't buy no Guardian today now. Boy, today Guardian, you ain't getting my $5. I ain't want to read that story to appear to be a hypocrite. But you're already a hypocrite. You ain't fooling nobody. You're a blasted hypocrite. But these people, that same Philip, remember the leaked email between him and the same Munilal for a program called Equal Time, where he wanted to air a 1-hour program every evening on CNMG, as it was then called Equal Time. And the purpose of that, according to the email, the purpose of that program was to sanitize disgraced ministers, Ministers who had fallen from grace, people like Ramadas Singh, people like Anil Roberts. And the first guest he wanted, according to the emails, the leaked email, the first guest he wanted to have on his program was Anil Roberts, to get Anil to come and admit that, yes, it was me in room 201. But you know, that was on my private time and it had nothing to do with government and so on. And I apologized to the Prime Minister, you know, and so on. And yeah, that is what he said. So all the body said, it wasn't me in room 201. But this wretch who now signed up with the UNC and is hoping to be a minister in the next government should they win, because he defending them to the hilt. All of a sudden, over a year ago, they were the worst thing since sliced bread. He could tell you all the wrong that they did between 2010 to 2015. All the wrong. But now, he turned a blind eye to that. But he wanted Anil Roberts to come on his program to confess, to admit that he was the man in room 201. So that when Kamala stood up in public and looked into the television camera and told us, I requested a report from the minister and I am satisfied that he was not the man in room 201, that it was PNM Photoshop. She said that was PNM Photoshop. That after she said that, he wanted to invite Anil on his program that he was lobbying for. And it was reported that the salary for that program would have been some $92,000 a month. Your taxpayers' money. Because everybody was eating our food from Live Sport then. So he said, well, let me jump in on the bandwagon. Because remember the one they call Mikey K from the Underground Report. He was getting $92,000 a month to report good things on the Live Sport program, to go and do videography and interview some of the young men involved in the program so they could talk good about the program for $92,000 a month. So he probably said, well, let me get in on the action too, based on the leaked emails. So he wanted Anil to come and confess. After he said he wasn't the man in room 201, after his political leader said, no, I'm satisfied he wasn't the man in room 201 and it was PNM Photoshop. You wanted him to now come and basically expose himself and his political leader as liars. He said nobody could do it like him. He's the best PR man. Don't worry, I got to take care of it. I will twist it and turn it in such a way that the thing will look bad. Yes, they might say, oh, you lie, but that is okay. You were just trying to protect the Prime Minister and her government. And if out of office he was willing to do that, to hoodwink and deceive you, members of the public, the electorate, imagine what they will do if they're in office to cover up wrongdoing. Because Killy there, he's the best PR man. And he's willing to turn a blind eye and a deaf ear to wrongdoing. Right? Outside of government. So imagine if he's in government, what he's going to do. But you have people contemplating putting them back in office and giving them their votes. That making sense to them. But you will never hear the supporters talk about that. So I am very disturbed this morning to read that these cases have been stalled and shelved. Those two words have me very, very disturbed. Stalled and shelved. So to hell with public interest. To hell with the citizens who want to see these men brought to justice and to at least get back some of the money that was stolen. To ensure that these men never disgrace the hallowed halls of the parliament again. But instead, police have more pressing matters to attend to. Right? So we don't know if and when there will be any conclusion to these matters. So in the case of EMBD, all we could hope for is that that civil matter will be dealt with and that Munilal and the contractors will be made to pay some money. But in terms of seeing him in bracelets, well, you got to hold on for that one. And God forbid they win the election this year. Some of you will go to your grave before that happens. Hell, Munilal might meet the maker before that happens. Okay? So understand the things that they have to cover up. What they have at stake. That after all this money has been spent to bring these cases to where they are, because as it said here, TTPS delays, simple things as getting a warrant to search. You can't do that, but you had time to type letter to send to the Prime Minister to ask him about whether the National Security Council gave permission for the importation of the 2 rifles and so on. But you don't have the time, 10 years now, to request warrants. And as Ms. McMahon said, you don't need to go to the DPP. You have grounds on which to approach the magistrate to get the warrant to search. Now this story is published. Munilal maybe sit down, lick at the chops this morning. Ah, boy. Yes, I was concerned, but Thanks to the Sunday Guardian for giving my heads up. So now I know. Yes, I could rest easy. I had to be dyeing my hair 3 times a month, right? I no longer need to be a regular subscriber to Biogen and Waterworks. I'm good now. I could rest. All the stresses of this police investigation was graying me prematurely, but I can relax now. So it's just a focus on seeing how we could win the election to ensure that these matters are put to rest permanently. And members of the public could gripe all they want. And we will go in office and thief more. Thief more. On the basis of what? Spreading propaganda and lies about the PNM. What the PNM for the 1%. And the PNM care about poor people. And the PNM and this and the PNM and that and the PNM had to go. What are you offering as an alternative? All of a sudden now you are the de facto defender for squatters like in 2010. But as soon as you became minister in 2010, yeah, you vowed to crush the same squatters that today you have a bleeding heart for. I have nothing to speak about with respect to Ralph Maraj. But I encourage you all to go and read that judgment, that EMBD judgment, right? And you could partake, read from page 36. The transcripts of the WhatsApp messages between Munilal and Pamasa. All the things that Pamasa asked for and what Munilal asked for and for whom. So the next time you hear them talk and bump the gum about recusals and how many times Paris recused himself and how many times Stuart Young recused himself, understand recusals wasn't part of their lexicon when they were in office. So we will sit down in cabinet and we will discuss things that impact me personally, and to hell with that, because Verna St. Rose Graves told us that when she was in cabinet as a minister, the minister of what she was, a social development or something like that. The time when she got Cheryl Miller arrested and thrown in the madhouse because they say she had a breakdown in work and they threw the woman in the madhouse for 2 weeks. You remember that? She said while she was in cabinet, as a cabinet minister, they never used to take minutes. Minutes weren't being taken. So even if you file a Freedom of Information request now to find out about recusals between 2010 to 2015, there are no minutes that speak to that. So when I say you don't know, there is no record of who was in the meeting, who said what, who agreed, who disagreed. It ain't none of that. I wonder, do I have that here? Yes. This article entitled Verna Rings the Bell, January 4, 2013. In her statement on December 1st, 2012, Verna St. Rose Graves said some provocative things about the Prime Minister and some of the ministers whom she has in her cabinet team. Not surprisingly, she was accused of making a spiteful reply, which was intended to lick up Kamala and the coalition. My intelligence tells me that this was not the whole truth nor the intent, and that Ms. St. Rose Graves did in fact make the intervention after discussing the issues with a number of persons in the Women's Network. But let me get to the part that I wanted to read. Let me see. Let me see here. Right. Yes, no. In the process of making her complaint about governance style, St. Rose Graves made some interesting comments about collective responsibility. As she writes, collective responsibility suggests that we have shared decisions, we have discussions, and then I am to be held responsible. But here it is. But there were no minutes of cabinet in terms of who said what, who supported what decision about clause 34. No one knows who objected to it, who were present in the discussion, whether it was discussed or not. You don't know what was the majority decision. So the Prime Minister and a little grouping would say something and it comes out as if it was the majority position, when you do not even know, when you do not even recall it being discussed, but you are held responsible. We have to deal with that, she openly challenged. The country has to decide on the question of leadership. Who is in charge depends on what is being discussed. Whether we are discussing a particular piece of legislation, buying over companies, or moving things out of Port of Spain beyond the Caroni River. At any time, it's a group of people who are in charge. And when the decision is being made, he or she, whoever is in charge, has to ring the bell and fix the system. Verna has made some serious criticisms of the decision-making in cabinet. And the claims are not unique to Trinidad and so on. You could imagine the cabinet of Trinidad and Tobago are taking billion-dollar decisions. No minutes. You will know who say what, who voted in favor, who voted against. None of that. This is according to Verna St. Rose Graves, and it was never challenged. Cabinet. We have simple organizations that when they have a AGM or a monthly meeting Minutes are being taken. And then the next meeting that come up next month or whatever it is, we go through the minutes for any errors and omissions and so on. And then somebody has to move a motion to have the minutes adopted and somebody has to second and all that. But in the cabinet that governs Trinidad and Tobago, making billion-dollar decisions, Verna St. Rose Graves is telling us, no minutes were taken, things being discussed, and I can't remember it being discussed, but of course I can't go back to the minutes to say, yes, it was discussed or it wasn't discussed because it had no minutes. That is how they were running the country. But you have people who telling you put them back because this making sense. That is governance UNC style, right? So we have small organizations operating at the board level at a more transparent manner than is happening in what's happening in the cabinet. But put them back. Kamala was the best prime minister. This is how they were governing your country. That making sense to you? Some of you listening here and who serve on boards or whatever it is of different companies, credit unions, and you know the process. But now, if it is, well, cabinet notes are supposed to be, what's the term they use, boy? I can't forget the term that they use, but you can't access cabinet notes. But they had no cabinet notes to access from their time, based on what Verna is telling us here. Where are the men and women of letters? Who supporting this party, telling you they are a viable alternative? People like Selwyn Kojo who want to come every week and talk nonsense about the PNM needs to lose the election and UNC victory is necessary for the PNM to have a, what's the term he used by? Basically, to restart the PNM. You know, the PNM need to be checked. So put them back. And things like these, they will not discuss. But are you content to have a cabinet run with no minutes? So man could do what they want, say what it is they want, they could persuade the prime minister, tell her all kind of thing, right? Issues could be discussed where people have conflicts of interest, but there is no minutes to reflect that. So that if it is they lose the election, the next government that comes in has no evidence to show that this man had a piece of land or a building that the government wanted to rent, and he was sitting down in the cabinet while that was discussed, and he had no issues. No recusal, and nobody had a problem with him not recusing himself. And he presented and he said, well, look, here what? It's 600,000, but I will take 450. All right, we could work with that. Nice. Approve. What next? Who else have a conflict? Yeah, Tim, what's your issue? Jerry, what's your thing? Well, I only know the building on Charlotte Street that the Caribbean Court of Justice's house. Well, I know that's my building, right? And coming up for the lease coming up to expire. And we need to renew and so on. So, yeah. Oh, okay. All right, no problem. Same rate? All right, no problem. Go ahead. Forget. Right. Approve. Next. Come on here. I didn't see the time. Hustle. Who next? Well, Gopi Singh. Well, I know it have a piece of land, so and so on. I want to request a change of use. Now, all these things I'm telling you here is what came out of my Freedom of Information request on the cabinet for recusals under that last administration. So this is not me making up things. This is what actually was presented to me. Gopi Singh, piece of land somewhere, and it was for residential, and he wanted it the change of use to commercial and all kind of bacchanal and all these things. Yeah, but they want to come and tell us Stuart Young recuse and Faris recuse. The building that anyway, let me not go there. Let me not go there. Right? But this is in the newspaper article if you're interested. Verna rings the bell. It's an Express article dated January 4, 2013. You could go and read what else she said. Her concerns about Kamala Persad Sessa and the monkey on her back. You all know what the monkey is. Right? Still exists today. He ain't going nowhere. In fact, he probably grow. So I needed to touch quickly on. So I see there was a development with respect to the zip line, right? That the THA was suing for fraud and so on, that the court made a judgment and said there was no fraud involved, and that the THA would have a hard time proving any fraud took place. But Fali decided he's not satisfied with that. So he went and take your taxpayers' money to go and appeal the case, even though the judge said that even any case brought against these men for fraud and so would have a very limited or slim chance, no chance. Forget not slim, no chance of success. Let me see if I get that here. Just now. Right. In my view, and this is the judge, The claimant's case in fraud against the first and second defendants is hopeless. Let me repeat that. In my view, the claimant's case, claimant being the THA, in fraud against the first and second defendants is hopeless. It essentially rested on two allegations. The first being the results of the initial company registry searches in the BVI, which later turned out to be incorrect. And the second being the failure of the third defendant to perform the contract, which does not by itself constitute fraud. The claimant's evidence taken at its highest establishes that it paid for services it did not receive. It does not establish any deceit on the part of the first or second defendant of the kind alleged by the claimant in his pleadings, or that any statement made by the first or second defendant was untrue. The claimant's arguments, and the claimant is the THA, in relation to fraudulent misrepresentation against the first and second defendants were entirely speculation and conjecture based on the incorrect results of a search of the BVI company's registry. More than this is required to establish fraud. There must be proof of fraud. But in the face of the judge saying that, Farley decided he's going to take your taxpayers' money and he's going to appeal. Even though the judge said, in my view, the claimant's case in fraud against the first and second defendant is hopeless. But apparently Farley is more learned than the learned judge. So he is going to appeal the matter. Let me see if they're going to go all the way to the Privy Council. You don't have money to pay forest reserve workers. You didn't have money to pay the people the ex gratia payment that all you promised them. You're sending home people left, right, and center, not caring how they're going to feed their family, feed their children, nothing. But you have money to pay lawyer, high-priced lawyer, probably senior counsel, to appeal a matter that the judge tells you is hopeless. Right? Because some lawyer fool you up and tell you, nah, don't worry, we could win that on appeal. All right? Because the lawyer seeking his interest. Whether you win, lose, or draw, at the end of the day, he had to get paid. So if he chain you up and whisper in your ears and tell you, yeah, let me appeal, man, don't worry. That judge I know what she's talking about. Let me appeal. But I send in my invoice, yes. But they're accusing the PNM of wanting to thief Tobago oil and Tobago gas. Right? They're all over the place talking that nonsense. They have the propagandists from AudioGate who they pay in every month for the propaganda machinery to come and say, oh, the Bassi Philip Alexander resharing the nonsense that they post up, the map that the Ministry of Energy put out with all the different blocks. And they're talking about, look, most of the blocks located just north of Tobago, in Tobago waters. I didn't know it had Tobago waters and Trinidad waters. I know it's Trinidad and Tobago waters because it's one country, two islands. There is no delineation. But they claiming waters and talking about the oil and gas in Tobago waters, and Trinidad coming to thief Tobago oil and Tobago gas, and Tobago ain't getting nothing. And where they getting that from? The mouth of Trevor James, who hopes to come to the parliament in the next session after the election to come and represent the interests of Tobago, as if that is the only business that the parliament has to deal with. They interview a couple other them who screened to contest the seat, and all of them talking the same thing about Tobago autonomy and Tobago autonomy. Nothing wrong with that, you know. But understand, as I said before, that is not the only issue that the parliament has to deal with. So if it is you all planning to come there and you will sit down and rock back and collect pay under false pretense and say nothing until the Tobago bill, autonomy bill comes back, whenever, that is probably in 2030. So for the 5 years, you're going to sit down there, as I said, as like a wooden judge in a Rambo session and say nothing? That's the purpose? But you want to challenge Shamfan and Ayanna Webster Roy. But this dotish talk about Trinidad want to thief Tobago oil and Tobago gas, and all they're doing is sowing seeds of division because it is annoying. Every bloody day, whole time they only posting on this Tobago People's Connect. I said a nonsense. But when it is, I'm asking them, should Trinidad adopt the same approach to say for all the years when it is that Tobago was benefiting from oil and gas coming from Trinidad waters and onshore Trinidad, should we adopt that approach? At no point in time you ever hear Trinidad talking that nonsense, because as far as we're concerned, it's one country and the oil and gas belongs to both islands. It doesn't matter where it is located. It is to be monetized for the benefit of both islands. But I listened to Trevor James talk a piece of nonsense that I played for you all a couple of days, talking about $2 million worth of oil or gas or whatever it is being extracted every day, and Tobago not getting a single cent. He said that. I played that for you all. Heard him say that. So I saw one of the minions reposted that nonsense. So I did some calculations for them, and I said, well, all right, if we're talking $2 million a day, according to Trevor. By 365 days, right? Works out to 730 million US. And when we multiply that by 6.799, we get 4,963,000,000 TT dollars. Is what, according to him, Trinidad is extracting from Tobago's waters in terms of gas revenues every year. Well, when we look and we do the maths and we look at the budget and we see that Tobago received in 2024-2025 fiscal just about 3.2 billion, right? Minus the 3.2 billion from the 4.9 billion, it means that you all getting over, Tobago getting over 70 or close to 70% of the oil and gas, the oil money or the gas money that coming from Tobago waters. We given all this 70%. You all got 70% in the last fiscal. 70%. So when you want to stand up in the assembly chamber, Trevor, and talk about 2 million US a day and Tobago not seeing 1 cent of that. Well, let's see all the money that you all got, because the money comes into the coffers of the state, part of the consolidated fund. It ain't going in a Rowley pocket, it's not going in Stuart Chung pocket or Stuart Chung bank account or Imbert bank account. It goes into the consolidated fund, which is money to develop and for the benefit of the entire country of Trinidad and Tobago. So if you all got 3.2 billion minus that from 4.9, it means all Trinidad got was 1.7. And we're doing all of the work to negotiate with the energy companies. And when the gas comes to Trinidad and it goes to Atlantic LNG and so on, all of that. So the government take a little commission for doing all of that work for you all, and we've given you 70% of the revenues that have been collected from Tobago waters, according to earlier. So when next time you want to stand up in the parliament, in the chamber and talk rubbish about 2 million US a day being extracted and you all ain't get nothing from that, consider that now, pal. But you could sell that nonsense to the TPP supporters who buying it wholesale and then coming and reselling it retail on social media and to confuffle people. And you have people buying that nonsense and people like Philip Alexander resharing it and saying this is why they don't want to delineate Tobago and all kind of thing. So are you telling us that if it is the UNC comes into power that they will do that? That they will delineate to say this number of nautical miles, this is Tobago's borderline and this is Trinidad? You are prepared to do that, to continue to advocate for the separatist agenda of the TPP, who I consider to be a Tobago UNC party group, because that is how they behave it. Each party sharing each other's propaganda, right? And only sowing seeds of division, because the UNC has no interest in Tobago. Their only interest is to see those 2 seats removed from the 41 and we come down to 39. So that whenever election comes, there's a fight between the PNM and the UNC in Trinidad, that the PNM doesn't have the advantage of the 2 Tobago seats. And if those 2 seats could be reposed in the possession of the TPP come next general election, well, they're all too happy. We will give Fali whatever he wants to keep quiet, and we just need him to vote with us so that we can form government, and we're good to go. And you have people in Tobago who supported the PNM, who buying into this Tobago First agenda. The problem I have with this Tobago First agenda that Watson Duke started but has since abandoned, and Fali pick it up and running with it, right? And as he running with it, it growing because people whispering in his ears. So he keeps shifting the goalposts. So we want this for autonomy, okay. And then when it is that the government says, I will give all of this, whatever, somebody whispering in his ears, but you know, you should have asked for this and asked for that. All right. So we want to refine what we think autonomy should include. So we expand it again and we shift the goalposts. So, and we keep shifting. And the more people whisper in his ears, because he want the 5th schedule to subsume the 6th schedule. So everything that is in the 6th schedule that the government is responsible for, central government, he wants all of that. All of that. They're complaining about Trinidad thief and Tobago oil and gas and only giving them 4.something%, but your chief secretary say he want 8, which is an additional 3.something. Why don't it cost him? Because you all want clearly what some of them saying. They want the full hog, the 100%. But Ali asking for that, he asking for 8. So cost him. But all they want to cost Keith Rowley. Oh, he's a Tobagonian and he ain't care about Tobago and all of that. Right? But as I said, Watson Duke has seemingly abandoned that separatist agenda. But one time he was calling for secession from Trinidad. He ain't want no chief secretary stupidness. They want their own prime minister, and they want their own coast guard, and their own judiciary, and they want this and they want that. The level of animosity that they are sowing has never existed before between Trinidad and Tobago. When you go on that TPP Connect page and you see the kind of foolishness that the propagandists posted, only division they're sowing. And every day the membership growing, more and more people jumping onto that group and reading that nonsense. And when it is that you try to reason with them, they come in to jump on you and tell you, you're field slave and you're a house slave and enslaved sycophant and all kind of thing, and you don't care about Tobago and whatnot. Really? You had a very successful carnival last year. Thanks to who? The Trinidadians who came across and supported it. Because the money you all spent to run to Grenada to try and woo Grenadians instead of coming to Trinidad, because Tobago's links with Grenada are stronger than Tobago's links with Trinidad, and therefore we don't want the Trinidad style carnival. We want something closer, more akin to Tobago. So you went, not Tobago, sorry, Grenada. So you went to Grenada. And what? Who are the main patrons that made the carnival such a success that all they can't stop talk about it? The Jazz Festival or whatever festival all they have coming up that you claim replace the Tobago Jazz Festival, that you're paying Bourgeois $225,000 US to sing in. Who you expect to attend? The same Trinidadian market you woo in that all you're cussing every day and have nothing good to say about them, but they want to thief your oil and gas. So the same oil and gas money that they thieving and getting paid their salaries what they come into Tobago to spend. So that for Carnival last year when your guest houses was full and the hotels were booked out, and people had to be booking and renting rooms in their home for people for 2 and 3 days, and you all were liking yourself, eating a food, drinking a juice. The same Trinidadians that all are bad-mouthing now and have nothing good to say. The propagandists are talking about the TPP propagandists who getting paid to do that. Consider that. Because everything Tobago have when Easter comes around, they're looking forward to a bumper season, and they're looking forward, and they want Cal to put more flights on the air bridge so that more Trinidadians could come over, and you want them to have more seats on the sea bridge and more sailing so that to accommodate people who want to come over, because people booking up the hotels and booking up the guest houses from January. If you're trying now to get a booking for Easter on Cal, you're probably not going to get through because people book since January. Only like that. Yeah, Chinese, come and spend all your money. And as soon as we leave, it's bad talk. Bad mouth, bad mind. Put Visine in the water and make Trinidadians get diarrhea. And that person who said that has now been given a senior position in some one of those state enterprises that fall under the THA. Yeah? Elevator. You see some chairman or something of one of those state enterprises after making a statement like that. So, are we then, when we go to Tobago, with all of the rhetoric coming out of the TPP now, should we now start to walk in with our own water in the suitcase? Lest we should find ourselves drinking Visine? Because now they ain't giving no bottled water in the room. You gotta go downstairs and use the cooler, they put out one of these big jugs with water and they have cups or whatever for you to use, as the case may be. So we had to watch the water. Kotai. You know if I want to drink that. I know what's even worse is that this TPP Connect profile on Facebook, some of the administrators of that profile are assemblymen and secretaries in the THA, like Zorisha Hackett and a couple others, administrators, and they're seeing these nasty comments that these people are making, and it's the hatred and the division that they're sowing, but they're staying quiet. They're staying quiet, but reading. It's only every now and again Sutika or feels the need to jump out herself and play she attacking people and then crawl back in her hole. But these are the people who are telling you, give them another term. And they so care. Nobody's saying that you can't be pro-Tobago, you know. But being pro-Tobago doesn't mean you have to be anti-Trinidad. It's a symbiotic relationship. We in Trinidad have had no issues with admitting that of the two islands, Tobago is the tourism. Is the better tourism option of the two. We have stuff in Trinidad we could promote, but Trinidadians love to hop on a plane or hop on the ferry and go across to Tobago and enjoy what you all have, and we have no problem spending our money, and it's one love. We ain't promoting no hatred. But since the TPP came in and the PDP, that is all they have been sowing is seeds of division and hatred. Promote your Tobago first, no problem. But come on, man, understand. When it is that you're saying these things, these reckless things, oh, Trinidad this and Trinidad that, and be belittling Tobago and telling me no nonsense about definition of award and what award is and all kind of thing, and we making Tobago feel less than, and as if it is that they are the bastard child and all kind of dotish talk. And these secretaries and assemblymen wouldn't pull up the propaganda machine. But remember, you know what's interesting? The people who are the administrators on that page are some of the same names who get called up in AudioGate. The same people who were questioned by the police. Zorisha Hackett was arrested and charged for not responding to a summons or something like that. And she's one of the administrators on that page. So that we see this AudioGate, and when they were talking about putting this propaganda machinery in place, paying people every month so that they could spend the whole day going on Facebook and spreading propaganda. And that is all they do whole day in that profile. Every minute. One person would post up something, and then you see two others repost the same thing because they didn't get the first person who posted didn't get the engagement they were looking for. So they figure if somebody else posted and somebody else posted that maybe. And when you look at the engagement, one like, 2 likes, or angry face, and the majority of people who commented on it is PNM supporters who have infiltrated the page and challenged them on the nonsense. So we see maybe the police need to look into that TPP Connect Facebook profile as part of your AudioGate investigation, because the very things that they spoke about in those audio recordings is exactly what is taking place in that TPP Connect profile. And look at who are the administrators and see what it is that they're doing and the seeds that they're sowing. And it is resonating with people in Tobago as well. So the PNM need to check themselves in Tobago, right? Check yourself, because in the absence of a significant campaign of countering this nonsense, and I'm seeing people, one person who goes by the name of Laurie something, challenge me, a comment that I made and telling me she was once deep red and she was strong PNM, and now she changed and she's supporting TPP because PNM don't care about Tobago and they're treating Tobagonians as second-class citizens and all kind of nonsense. You could never have been PNM and talking that rubbish. Miss me with that BS. 12:55. Let me take this call. Mr. Yates, call me back. Let me switch this thing here. And I was supposed to talk about Kevin Ramnarine too. You see how I get distracted? Well, forgive me. We'll talk Kevin on Tuesday. Let me just get this thing here. So let me just get this here, connect this. Mr. Yates, go ahead. Hello?
Yes, good afternoon, sir.
Yes, sir.
Are you hearing me?
Loud and clear.
Very good, very good. I just have a couple points to make. One, it has to do with the front page of today's Guardian. As we all know, but it's an understatement to say that it is very, very disturbing. And it ties in with what I told you a few days ago, that there seems to be an obsession with getting Erla Christopher behind bars. It seems to be obsessive now. Because as we know, and there's a perspective on this that I would like to share with you. What makes it even more scary and more frightening, as we both know, and everybody who's following the news totally in Trinidad will know, there's a very, very strong Tobago factor. Read my lips. Tobago factor at the highest level of the TTPS. I need not develop that, but we know what we're talking about. And the obsession seems to be to get Erla Christopher prosecuted and jailed at all costs. I make bold to say that. Running behind the DPP, twice you've gone to the man, and on both occasions they tell you, go back. I do not have enough evidence to instruct you to charge the lady. Go back and look again. So there's a very strong possibility that they may come up with something. There's a very, very strong possibility. But I am seeing the emphasis being obsession with power and position at all costs. And people will do anything and everything to achieve their goals. You tell me, right? And you see, I have a conspiracy theory here. I mentioned Tobago a couple minutes ago. Why this non-pursuit of UNC corruption? That front page of the Guardian stinks to high heaven. You all sit down and leave those two things in mud balls for years. For years. And I'm wondering, because of the Tobago connection, I have to be careful here, because of the Tobago connection, that they don't want to upset Sally, whose best friends these days are UNC corrupt contractors and former ministers. And they don't want to pursue anything at that level to upset Sally again. Because the UNC ministers, those $1 million bills, and those who in cahoots with contractors, they are now Sally's best friends. They are bosom buddies. The finances campaign, they encouraging him to get the 2 seats in Tobago, and they will for them to win government. What is this nonsense going on? You all sit down there, not pursuing anything with the EMBD. I mean, this is horrible. As you know, I have raised this issue with you about twice in the last 2 weeks. That since November the 6th, we have been waiting to find out what, if anything, has happened with that City Council mandated date for the hearing of that matter with EMBD, witness, presenting their witness statement, including that of Ruda and Monilal. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I dare say, from what we have seen on the front page of the newspaper today, the conspiracy is not just between the media houses and the UNC in protecting them and not pursuing why we haven't been hearing anything. And unfortunately, I am looking at the upper echelon of the police system. I am leaving that right there for now. Secondly, I must say, if I'm to say anything about the situation in the local politics, what stands out for me is 2 words: selflessness and selfishness. That move by Dr. Rowley a masterstroke, to say the least. I think he has been sensing for a while now that he may be losing favor with the electorate in Trinidad. And he has decided, look, I have served well, let me bow and put the person who I feel is the best person to lead TNS on election victory. Not Cummings, not Beckers. The best person to attract all strands of this society. So what is TNS? Is the person who I feel is best placed and best suited to attract all the races of this country. Hence, Stuart Richard Young. So I see that as the selflessness part of it. He could have held on to power and die in office, because that has never happened in Trinidad before. You never have Williams, the Robinson, the Chambers, Manning, no one. This is the first time this has happened. We have political leaders, the ruling party, has bowed out while in office. It's the first time this has happened. I can't speak for CARICOM, I could talk of Trinidad. This is the first time we have witnessed this in Trinidad. And it's a major act of selflessness on the part of Dr. Rowley. Hence, the UNC is running around like headless chicken, because they fear this Stuart Young thing. And you see this picture that has come up, which I have been advocating with some people for a few weeks, that when he is presenting, he must present himself with his parents flat in him. And it is there. It is there on Facebook and social media for everybody to see. Now, on the other hand now, you have the forever losing opposition leader, who is still sent-free in a few months' time, who decides that she's not leaving and is prepared to sacrifice and drag UNC into the grave on the shore of peace by Bodino Bridge with her and kill whatever chances they may have had to get back government. She's not prepared to step aside and groom somebody who could re-rail and re-more the UNC into an acceptable unit at the national level. No, she must drag them into the grave with her. And those two words, selflessness and selfishness, that to me is what underscore the tenure, the respective tenure of Dr. T. Crowley and Kamala Prasad, etc. UNC must die rather than giving up this position to give them a chance to get back in government. And finally, she keeps making this statement all the time about recusals and how many recusals George Young has done and arrived because the family owned business. Now, I'm suggesting impropriety, even corruption on their part for recusing themselves. Now, back to this EMBD thing. When it reached the High Court some years ago, as you know, then High Court Justice James Abboud ruled that the contractors have a case to answer. And Mr. Munilal also has a case to answer because it looks like cartel-like behavior and conspiracy to defraud the people of this country. Mm-hmm. So he lost there. You know the story. It went to the appeal court and it went to the Privy Council. But I will stop at the appeal court level because one of the judges who were appointed to hear that case was one Maria Wilson, appeal court judge. And the lady recused herself. And she gave me reason. She said, I have a close relative who is on the board of the NDD. And I think it would be improper for me to sit on this matter. And she recused herself. So by the Kamala Professor's logic, are you telling us in Trinidad and Tobago that the judge, the appeal court judge who recused herself, Maria Wilson, are you suggesting that like Stuart Young and Arawi, that judge is corrupt? Or is indulged in some improper behavior? Because the issue for you is recusal. So for you, recusal means it's corrupt. So if you say that Arawi and Stuart Young corrupt, then Justice Maria Wilson, by your logic and your understanding, is also corrupt. Well then, Madam Bifeta, if you feel so, come out and say so. Be a big woman. Since you're a bad one, come out and say so. Come out and stick to your guns and be consistent. If Arawi and Stuart Young corrupt by recusing themselves, then you must also tell that Justice Maria Wilson is also corrupt by recusing herself. That is what you must do. And in closing, let me just tell you something, Madam Bifeta. We know, we're not stupid in this country. We know that those last couple meetings, there is this UNC meeting, the Monday night thing. We know that you deliberately withdrew yourself. You deliberately withdrew yourself. And you used Jolene John to come up with this thing called Stuart Rajesh Young and Stuart Bihari Young. You know why you did it? Because you don't want to be seen as riling the population of this country. So typically and true to form, you get a black woman to do it for you. Just like how you, Dr. Nella Allen Johnson, say the nasty things about Dr. Rowley's father and on Dr. Rowley himself, and raping women and so on and so forth. That is what you must do. Come out and think about the appeal court justice. She corrupt you? Why you didn't have any Monday night meeting to say, to call Stuart Young, Stuart Rajesh Young, and Stuart Bihari Young? No. Because you know you would have get licked like fire. But you get a black woman to do it for you. And by the way, that black woman, Madam Bifeta, is also wiggy. You felt wiggy was only for Camille Robinson wages, but Jolene John always wears a wig. So she too, by your calculation, because she's a black woman like Camille, she too is wiggy. Good? But your dirty work for you. Thank you, Mr. Rose.
Thank you, sir. And just a point to note about that headline on The Guardian, let us not forget that the reason why the DPP had dropped the case against Pandey, because he said the length of time and the number of years that had passed, witnesses forget who died, who migrated. Really and truly, it didn't make sense to pursue the case any longer. 10 years now, this investigating. 10 years. 10. So, don't be surprised if 5 or 10 from now we hear, well, it's 20 years pass and whatnot, and witnesses died, and who migrated, and who forget, who memory is not what it used to be, and evidence can't be found. And it don't make sense to prosecute the case now because these men are old already, and whoever is the DPP at that point in time. Right? 770163. Wayne Gibson says Google let the cat out of the bag. They were saying PNM did nothing during the COVID period, but the highway in Komoto closed to open. The laugh is on the UNC. Indeed. So let me see here. So let me get this here. Someone says Fali shameless as he does not admit he lied on Tracy to the people, fooling them, making bacchanal just for them to get in power. Indeed, we remember when he and Watson was talking about Tricky Tracy and how she thief money and so on, and the Auditor General report say, and the Auditor General report said nothing about the zip line. What it was is a management letter that was sent to the THA Chief Administrator requesting additional information, and the information was provided, and therefore the matter did not find its way into the Auditor General's report. But he and Watson was all over the place talking. And then when it is the Auditor General at the time, I think it was Ms. Pujadas or something like that, I can't remember her name, said that she was coming to Tobago to clear the air. So all these things that Fali and Watson was saying, that she was coming to correct the record. And Watson said, what you coming here for? I will make your life a living hell. You did your report. Stay in Trinidad. All of that. Because he didn't want the Auditor General to come to Tobago to tell the people, you see all them things Watson and Fali telling all about Auditor General report and this and that. That is not true. Right? He threatened the Auditor General from the platform and tell her, don't come Tobago. If you make the mistake to come Tobago, I'll make your life a living hell. And yet still they went and voted for them. Today he and Fali are sworn enemies. Fali not interested in smoking the peace pipe and drinking the cooling bush, as Watson likes to say. So now let me get him here. Where is it? So, because the two of them on a warpath now. Watson changes his tune with respect to the zip line. So where is it? I'm not getting that. Okay, that's why. And the defenders come out early by on that page. So, let me get it here. Watson says jellyfish brains at work in the THA, yes or no? Fali and his associates won't be around long enough to see the conclusion of this court case, yet they continue to recklessly squander Tobago's money under the guise of justice. Why not investigate the controversial stage in the sea, the abandoning of the abandoned Manta Lodge Hotel, or the $70 million Chauvin Bypass Road? Why is there such a relentless focus on targeting individuals involved in the failed zipline project? Is the real goal to destroy them personally? Why not simply pursue the company responsible and determine under what authority it conducted its business? That's Watson responding to Fali. Never a dull moment in the politics of sweet TNT. My usual callers this morning. What's going on with all them? Angela Figaro says, lawyers, judges, DPP office, and some TTPS. That DPP, is he trustworthy? His position and Attorney General position are too darn independent. Do they both report to President Kangaloo? No, they do not report to President Kangaloo.
I don't know.
They're saying, Melka is saying, would the UNC use the same excuse of time lapsing for Ish and Steve to the US administration? There you go. Good question. we have to be wary about this. And my concern is we are going into a general election, and we have people who are offering themselves for office who should not be anywhere near the parliament, far less for the treasury. Right? This EMBD matter, and the police need to say something. This is a damning headline. They need to come out and say something, because as I said here, the media reached out to the police and the police gave no comment. They need to answer and to say, what is the status? Why is it that you all, something as simple as getting a warrant to search probably Munilal premises or whoever premises, so long now, well, they haven't been able to do that? And we are being told that you're in a position, based on what Matt Mahon told us, that they were in a position to charge in at least 2 of the matters, and nobody get charged. This is why people don't have confidence in the justice system, and they will always be of the view that corrupt politicians will always get away with wrongdoing. They go inside there to pocket money and to give to their friends and family and so on, and to hell with everybody else. So Munilal could come and pretend he have a bleeding heart for the squatters, but really, does he have such a bleeding heart? No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. He couldn't care less. It's just to get into office so that they could get back the thief, so that he could enjoy another Range Rover at your expense, $24,000 a month, so Natasha and his son could ride around and talking nonsense about putting his wife's life at risk. She's not supposed to be in that vehicle. Hello, good afternoon. Hey, boss, hold on one sec. Yeah. So, let me get us here. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, boss. Go ahead.
You can hear me now?
Loud and clear.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, man. Well, all I can say, Dominic, congratulations on your selection of to be the prospective candidate for that seat where Lisa Morris used to be.
Thank you.
Right? And I believe that you will do well. Right?
Thank you.
It's still hard to imagine that people still questioning you, that you still affiliated, that you used to be part of the ILP. But it's no open secret that you left that party a long time ago.
Yep.
So I don't know why people are questioning why you used to be part of that Japan. I think you left long ago. You said already.
Yep.
So I don't know why they're making a big story about that. Right? So you just hold your faith and stay strong.
Thank you.
You have any idea who do you think you're going to be sent?
No, I'm sure they're probably having some difficulty with getting people to put. Not that person would make any difference anyway.
So they haven't sent nobody, is it?
No, they have not. I don't even think they screen for that seat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And you see, I totally agree with you, Dominic, concerning with some of this investigations collapsing. It is very unfortunate. Over 10 years has passed, and certain things have been settled that. Even the email gate.
Yep.
The PR going to the PR look after scratch. Well, thank goodness we was able to get back the money. But no charges on certain individuals.
Right.
And certain key members died. Right? So I want to see how long this thing as the EMBD and like supposed to drag on. And to those hypocrites who saying that the government saying that is the government for saying that nobody gets arrested. It is not the government that's investigating, it's the police.
Yep.
The police should be investigating this thing. And the police just dragging the feet.
Yep.
So it looks like somebody in some office or administration is causing some right to delay it. And like I said again, with respect to people of Tobago, do you expect anything from what's in Duke? What do you think is passionate to be doing for what's going on in Tobago? Want to have their own police, people, their own police COP, their own prime minister, with pro-independence nonsense.
Yes.
Everything should be falling on Moston Duke. So what are you trying to do now? He created that monster.
That's right.
Sorry, as I said, and I will probably say, and I will also say some of these old guys from the DSC and political analysts in Tobago, like Mr. Winston James.
Yep.
And his brothers. Don't make you ever good, yes?
You too, sir.
You stay strong, and I hope you advise the PNM in terms of campaigning, have some decent advertisement, and educate the people. Good.
Thank you. Stanley Ryan says, I have quite a number of relatives from Tobago, from Speyside to Charlottesville, who are not in sync with the politics of Farley. Farley's problem is the governance of Trinidad and Tobago, not in the best interest of Tobagonians, particularly my relatives. Indeed, and I'm sure that that is a position shared by many, right? So this divisive politics that he is pushing, the fact that Watson Duke has abandoned it, but he took it up full speed. And now he has a team with him who are more than happy to share similar. Wayne Gibson says, how come we could hear about Zipline and he cannot hear about the EMBD case? What is happening with that case? Exactly. What is happening? And we will hear nothing because the media has their agenda, right? They have their agenda and it is in their best interest, because I was listening to how this reporter was talking to Dr. Rowley on Friday when they were opening the housing development down in San Fernando and asking him about Trinidad being a laughing stock because we are purchasing fuel oil, marine fuel oil from Jamaica and all of that. And you could tell the venom in her voice. You know, Dr. Rowley kind of tried to pass it off as you know, as a little joke or whatever it is. And she, having none of it, she just down the Prime Minister's throat about him endorsing Hans as a replacement and all kind of thing. And she was just there. But this dotish talk about Trinidad being a laughing stock because we purchase marine fuel oil from Jamaica. And I was listening to Mariano Brown on Friday on I-95.5, and he was making the point. What he was saying is that what possibly would have happened is that Jamaica would have purchased the marine fuel oil and that they would have had excess. Because even when Petrotrin was producing that fuel oil, they would always have excess because of the demand for it wasn't that great, right? And so they would end up selling to other entities. And it is possible that Jamaica would have placed an order for that from some foreign entity, and they had it on order, and they would have made the offer to Trinidad to get it, and we would have purchased it from the right to have it from them, and then the ship, instead of going to Jamaica, would have just come here. So it's not a case that Petrojam would have produced or refined this fuel oil and they have it there and we're buying it from them. That is what Brown was saying most likely is what happened, is that they would have made a purchase from wherever it is and they have too much, and therefore we would have taken the shipment off of their hands, right? So all this dotish talk about we are a laughing stock and all kind of nonsense. The United States, which is one of the largest producers of oil and gas, imports oil and gas from other countries. Does that make them a laughing stock? Come on now, man. Mr. Yates. No, sorry, Mr. Chance.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I am good. Right? I am good.
Right, very good, very good. This afternoon, I just wanted to, first of all, congratulate the Ministry of Tourism for all the work that has been done. One second. For all the work that has been done to woo visitors, non-nationals and the nationals to Trinidad and Tobago for the Carnival 2025. I say that on the background of the number of negative and nasty comments coming from the camp of the UNC and other naysayers, trying to prevent people from coming to Trinidad and Tobago, giving the impression that Trinidad and Tobago is not a real place. But I was so happy to hear some information coming from the Ministry of Tourism. We identified for us that last year, 2024, there were 29,641 non-nationals traveling by air. And he says, based on the fact that we expect 410 more flights to Trinidad and Tobago, it means that the number of visitors to Trinidad and Tobago will be tripled in 2025. Why am I saying that? What are the consequences? Because in most of my discourse, I try to point out the consequences. What are the consequences for the people across Trinidad and Tobago? Well, as the minister pointed out, there are a lot of opportunities for small vendors, for jobs in the hotel industry, where the rooms will be filled so they need people to work there. There are a lot of jobs for taxi drivers and maxi taxi drivers. Those selling little trinkets about Trinidad and Tobago. When more people come to the country, the economy moves around. So when the taxi driver and the maxi driver gets money, they go to the market and they buy stuff. And if they have a little problem in their home that they couldn't fix before, they call it a plumber. So this is a money that moves around during this period of time. So if we are going to get a triple number of non-nationals coming into Trinidad, it is going to impact on our everyday living in this country. And that is a very good thing for me. Very, very good thing. Because last year, it was reported that during the carnival season, $640 million TT dollars circulating in the country. Close to $1 billion. And I expect that in 2025, with the expectations coming from the minister, that we cross $1 billion circulating. And by that circulation, I mean moving around from the small man across the board, market, supermarket, the mall, they're going to buy stuff, employing people. All that comes from that money that is stirring around in the country. As I said, a lot of the maxi taxis are getting tourists to take them to the various sites in Trinidad and Tobago. So it's a big flip for the country. And I say that when you look at the fact, the effort being made by UNC and their trolls and all the nasty people there to try to deter people from coming to this country, it appears as though we are lining up for a bumper carnival. And that bumper carnival means revenue for Trinidad and Tobago. It means benefit for the small, ordinary man and the little man across the board. My second point I want to make is, I want to direct this as well to the UN. Now, I am reading on the social media and a lot of people celebrating and dancing. Hey, the dragon can't dance. Hey, Manatee will have problems. What I want to ask the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and particularly those on this live, if the dragon does not dance, if we have problem with Manatee, if we have problem with dragon, who will suffer? Who will suffer? Do you think that Dr. Rowley and the PNM government will suffer? Well, I want to share with you now that the dragon and the Manatee and all the work being done in the gas is for you, the people, you know. Because when those revenue come in, it is going to help us to pay old age pension, to pay disability grant, to pay salaries for the public servants, to pay the streets, to build hospitals, to pay the building hospitals. That is how we get the money, you know. So do not allow the UNC to fool you and say, boy, I come through, boy, you know, it's an amazing thing. Sometimes you get around people saying, boy, that dragon is dancing, boy, as though they're happy. And I want to share with you this morning, it's all of us will pay the consequences for that if the dragon does dance, and if the Manatee doesn't come on stream, and if all the gas projects the government don't come on stream, it is you will not dance. It's not the dragon. It's you will not dance. You will have real problems in terms of the cost of living. You will have those problems. You will have real problems when it comes to your job, because they will not be able to keep many public servants in their jobs. You will have real problems if you're working in the manufacturing sector. 50,000 people that work in the manufacturing sector. If the dragon don't dance, and if we have a bad relationship with CARICOM, what's going to happen? Where are we going to get the money to run this country? The media is very, very dangerous to you at this time. The media is running around Dr. Rowley wherever he goes. But it's not asking Kamala Prasad, all the promises and inducement, where is the money coming from? At least the government is saying to you, we have a project with the gas. We have a problem with the revenue authority. All those things is to bring money to pay the bills. And I'm saying that again and again all the time. Money does not drop from a tree for us to pay our bills in this country. And I mean, I pay our bills and not paying our public servants, our policemen, our nurses, paying the people working in the local government. We all sending the children to school, pay the teachers, pay the nurses and doctors. That money doesn't drop from a tree. We get that money through revenue. So when the UNC tell you, this boy, Rowdy failed, boy. You know, you when Rowdy failed, what happened to you? You failed miserably. Your standards have been dropped. The opportunities you had, if Dr. Rowdy succeeds, will immediately diminish. So I thought I would just draw that to your attention. So when people hail in, it's going to be, oh, Rowdy can't dance, Rowdy and this. That is something that's going to impact on you in your daily living. So I want you to remember that. And finally, as I go, I put up on the Facebook, I don't know if you saw it, Dominic. I am asking the people of Tobago to read the United Nations Convention of the Sea when it comes to Trinidad and Tobago. These people are fooling if you're telling them there's a line and a water divider, they'll get all the gas. The United Nations Convention of the Sea talks about Trinidad and Tobago as an archipelagic state, you know. So it's not even a separation. So that's a new kind of maritime imagination, a kind of a maritime input they're going to put. The United Nations Convention of the Sea describes Trinidad and Tobago as an archipelagic state, meaning together. Do you understand? And those are things you have to bear in mind when those foolers from Tobago continue to try to fool the people. Thank you very much for the time, Dominic. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. We must guard against. Brian. Hello.
Yes, hello, good afternoon to you, Dominic.
Yes, sir.
Dominic, Mr. Charles is saying that it's us who will not dance. You know, that reminds me of what Donald Trump said to people in America prior to the elections in November, on November 5th. Of all the promises that he made to them.
Yes.
About making America great again. And the Republicans simply could not, or didn't want to understand and see through. And perhaps did not read Project 25, which he claimed that he doesn't know anything about. That what was in fact was going to happen, that they would be affected and not Donald Trump. What Mr. Chance is saying is quite correct. It's not Dr. Rowley or the PNM government going to be affected. It's all of it's all of us who wouldn't be able to dance under an IMF program. Today in America, Dominic, because they have shut down U.S. aid. U.S. aid used to give these farmers in America billions of dollars for their produce. Today, there is no money to come for their produce. The soya that normally goes to China with the 10% tariff and all of the issues that are going on with China and so on, there are problems for those farmers in America. He's in power 3 weeks. Who is he marching in the cold? Who marching? It's the same white folks who went and voted for him marching today. Because many of them, when they're going to their portals, when we send some of our people leave and go out there to do work like taking care of the AIDS and so on, those portals have been closed. Even though the courts have said not to do it. But there's a lot of problems in order to get money from central government in order to support some of these things. And a lot of Caribbean people go up there in order to get that type of work. You understand? So now that they can't get it, now that a lot of people are being sent back to places like Africa, India, South America, Central America, and the Caribbean. What do you think happening in America? And if people dancing because they believe when the dragon is taken away from us, that it'll be a good thing for, it could be against PNM people, well, they better think again. again, because it is going to affect all of us. Now, I want to explain something because I listened to your program on, I believe it was Friday. I didn't.
Yes.
I went and I just looked at it afterwards. I didn't know that you were on. And Professor Simpleton said something to you, and I think you agreed with it, that if the refinery starts back up, we could make our own bunker C for these vessels that, But you see, Dominic, it will take 5,000 people to do that, because remember, the refinery will have to run.
Yes.
We would have to purchase the oil from foreign. Let's assume oil is $75 a barrel. We still have to find the money to buy the oil in order to produce the fuel oil that we can use as bunker C for vessels coming here. So you're going to have manpower issues to pay. You're going to have issues with the equipment, because at the end of the day, Professor, it is not going to be beneficial to the company. And that refinery cannot run under 114,000 barrels a day. So it is cheaper for Paria to purchase the bunker fuel from Jamaica, because at the end of the day, as Mr. Chance gave the figures, I think you gave the figures as well, you alluded to it as well. There is a surplus of monies, and our relationship with Jamaica is important to our manufacturing sector. That is why Dr. Rowley, when he got into office in 2015, one of the first things he did was to fly to Jamaica to quell the problems, that because they promised not to purchase anything more from Trinidad because of the Kamla Kosadmi Center and our partnership and the UNC. He had to go and smoothen out that issue, and that was important to our manufacturing sector, because they would have had to let go people. And Jamaica is one of our biggest markets in the Caribbean, if not the biggest. So for us to pay 50 odd million, sorry, I'm trying to remember exactly how much is the pay for that bunker oil. We will make a profit. Paria will make a profit, because that is expensive stuff for those vessels, and it's easier for them to come through the Panama Canal and come to Trinidad port rather than go up to Jamaica. It's easier for them to do so. It's cheaper, it's faster, and we are right here. And we have the port and we have the wherewithal to do so. That's what we were doing before, because it made a lot of money for the company. And that bunker fuel is like gasoline in those vessels, so that they can continue on their journey wherever it is they have to go. They have to cross the Atlantic or go to North America or South America, wherever. We are in prime position in order to do what we need to do in order to make money, and we also have the facilities and the storage to do so. And that is why it was a fantastic move, as a matter of fact, that the government did, that Minister Stuart Young exceeded, in order to negotiate that with Jamaica, because at the end of the day, there is still a surplus for Trinidad and Tobago, a trade surplus. So we are still in a very good place, and our relationship with our Caribbean brothers is far better. You understand? So therefore, at the end of the day, running the refinery is not going to help us. We are going to continue to lose money, and we have to find $7.5 million a day to purchase crude from our international markets in order to supply the refinery. And the refinery is a 100-year-old refinery and very, very efficient. It will not make sense. Plus, you'll have to employ a further 4,000 to 5,000 people to run the refinery. You can't just bring in the crude and just make reduce crude. You can't do that. You have to remove the gasoline. You're going to have to move the aviation fuel, or the kerosene as we call it. You're going to have to move the gas oils and so on, plus the propane and the butane, and all of those things will have to be removed from the charge in order to extract the fuel oil, and then we have to blend it in order to make it accessible as bunker C fuel for the ship that's going to come Trinidad and Tobago. We're coming to Trinidad waters. So it's cheaper. We have to add no more manpower in order when we purchase from Jamaica. The people are already there on board. It is not costing the government anything more except to purchase it. And when we resell it, we make a profit. A lot easier and a lot cheaper. And we stand to gain. Dominic, I'll tell you something. Finally, if Trinidad and Tobago, as I said before, want to play lazy with the vote, see what is going on. I said before, what is going on in the States, it's going to be worse with respect to what is going on in Trinidad. Because if at the end of the day, they are not in office, and we can read that those issues that are so important, are so damning, have been shelved, what will happen when they're in office, Dominic? What will happen if, heaven forbid, we place foolishly about votes and don't go out there and vote? What will happen to all the other cases that are already hidden and yet to come? And we need to know, Dominic, who are the people living in the DPP's office 3 and 4 times, who are the people who are making the decision to shelve those important criminal matters? Who makes those decisions? Why don't they call themselves, have a media conference and let us know who you are? This morning, you know who was talking up on behalf of the normal Sunday morning UNC ship?
Hello? Hello? Brian? Okay, don't know what's happening there. Hello?
And they have 4 years of madness to go through. Many of them are studying their families today. Some of them will be out of jobs, if not already out of jobs, and how they will survive. Don't let us reach to that point, because it will be worse coming from these people who all they are concerned about are their friends, their families, and not Trinidad and or Tobago. We have to be careful and we have to understand these things. Don't play foolish with your vote. Because if you do, the consequences will be dire for all of us. And if we don't understand that today, and not seeing it every single day on social media and on the news, then we are lost. But I have hope in this country, and I know people will do what is right. Every single one of us will do what is right for not only because I like the PNM, but I despise the UNC getting in there and putting us back another 10 to 20 years and putting us in the hands of the IMF. We have to be mindful and we have to be careful. We have children and grandchildren to take care of. Thank you, Dominic. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir. Final call. Right. So, final call. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dominic.
Yes, sir.
A good program again. And I'm going to piggyback on what, what's his name, the last caller just spoke about. Remember the government came in with and have issues to deal with when they came in, remember, they had not enough money to pay public servants in the treasury. And they had to get that money. They had, I think it's 14% that they settled. The previous government just settled with the unions. Right? There were no money. The NGC, the Malcolm Jones board run NGC. the $16 billion that were there. You had a lot of issues that the government had to deal with. You had the bullet payment coming up. You had a ship sit down in the water. They waiting for the government to get the okay that they'll guarantee you're paying for your fuel for that thing. So the government just didn't take that lightly and say, look, listen, we come in here, we don't like Petrotrin workers, we don't like the refinery, we don't like Hansel Roger and them, and we shut it down because this is what they want us to believe. That had a lot of problem because Kevin Ramrine said that a good while before in Parliament when they're asking questions going on what is happening and he had to report on the runnings of Petrotrin, and he was the minister at the time, the line minister. So the government had to do something. And then on top of all of that, when the government decided, look, listen, let me just ask BP and them to pay the taxes owed to us now. They're telling us that the government make a deal with us and we don't have to pay any taxes, so there's no taxes for us to pay. So the government was between a rock and a hard place. Now, how they did it and how they think, I have to give Dr. Rowley kudos for that because that was a master stroke. Because all he did is just separate the treasury from Petrotrin because actually Petrotrin was making little money in the production of the oil and those things that they had there. Because remember, we have been saying years along that the production of oil is keep dropping and we need to find new wells. So all these things coupled to put that refinery in that problem that they have because the refinery, in order for the refinery to work, you need oil. And we're not producing the quota of oil for them to blend, they had to buy oil. So you still have to go and pay US for the oil. And that's why until I don't tell the people, the oil that they have to buy is US, they pay for it. They talk about how US the refinery used to make. That's a lie. The refinery used to suck that money. And what they was doing is that the other part of Petrotrin that was making the money, they wasn't telling you that the refinery was just sucking that dry. And basically that was it. And then they went to the government and they was not paying the taxes. So they get to keep the taxes to keep the refinery afloat. And we have been doing that for some years. And that's why it dug a big hole. Now, I am saying that refinery could make money. But here that refinery will make money. The government doesn't have no input in that refinery. So you see the Indian national, that billionaire that came and to talk to Dr. Rowley. You see, if he has his way of getting his oil, like, bulk oil, he bulk oil at a cheap cost, he could use our refinery because this is what he was thinking about doing, talking about, if he wanted to talk, the talk have never started it. The negotiation and how to use, how he would take it on what's your thing, like a lease, or he purchased the whole rock, stock and barrel, and how much I will get it for. These are the conversations that he never had with the government, Now he has his oil. So he could sell his oil here. And you know what? When he's selling his fuel, he will have markets in Central America right there. So if I'm India to send that to him, that's an additional cost. So he was thinking about, I could save that cost. I had the oil, I could send the oil here. I can blend the thing and I can easily ship it through the thing. And then certain things like tariff and thing will be much cheaper. Because from shipping from India, you have to sneak stuff in other people's country and you have tariffs and all these things. It's a lot of things was the thing that is why this man was, and his executive wanted to have a discussion with the Prime Minister. But Kamala chased off the man, but Kamala saying things about the man that she doesn't know, right? And she doesn't have the facts, and she was slandering the man's name. So the man's board advise him, hey, listen, this lady tarnishing our reputation internationally, let me pull out for me. They don't bother with that. Because he was looking at the profit margins, and then on top of that, the Indian businessman would have to pay taxes to the treasury. So the money that he makes in refining the oil, right, and he declares profit at the end of each financial year, he has to go down to BIR and pay taxes on that. So you see how we'll be making money and the government don't have to put nothing into that. They just sit down there and collect taxes. The government, they can't get involved in that because it is too costly for the government to get into that. And how the government has restructured Petrotrin, right? Now that the assets of that and workers and things that they had higher, because it's not Ghost running it, they're making profit, but people fail to realize that the debts left by that refinery has to be serviced. So the Heritage has to service the loans left behind by the refinery. That didn't go, that didn't disappear. So you feel the people who the refinery who will say, well, you know, they closed down, guys, you know, all they keep the money in there for we now. All they have about $12 billion US for you. Keep that now. Keep this money and keep that. You people all the money. And one of these restrictions of the government having to deal with that refinery too was, if the government has been seen internationally that pumping money into Petrotrin will get downgraded. So the government was to act. They had to come with something, and that's when pay them. That's why we vote them in and put them for. Because Kamala and Kevin and them couldn't fix the problems of Petrotrin. Today, Petrotrin is turning over a profit without having, without juggling the books. Because I'm still them talking about how much money Petrotrin making, and quietly they're not telling you how much money the refinery losing. And since Petrotrin is the mother company of these sections, those sections, drilling and exploration and refining and all these things, and then they just juggle books, just move the losses here, shove it here, take money from here, put it there, and they think that's all they was just doing. So I'm still an entertainment because when it's giving financial report and you watch, if you scrutinize that financial report properly, you would see the issues inside it because you want to ask them about the losses, how they think and where that money coming from and the whole thing is. But they could only say that to people who rob around and expected every day of their life to get cheap gas. And they wouldn't, because we live in a generation of people, most of the people living today didn't even know that those gas stations and them was run by Texaco and BP and them they own it. And the refinery was privately owned. Dr. Eric Williams buy all that. Right? And when he buy all that and bought all the gas stations, he named it MP. That is how MP come about. But long time we used to go to Esso gas station and a BP gas station. That is how we knew it. That is how I remember as a little child, but my father going in any gas station and buy $1 regular. Right? And put in a Cortina. And we go in Miaro and all them set of places with that on that thing there. And that was not subsidized. Time has changed. The price of fuel and things and the demand for it, the prices increase. It gets so difficult now. People you can use regular in a car. We don't use leaded gases anymore. We don't use things like regular. We don't use it. You can put them thing in a motor car now. The price of materials to blend into the fuels and just to put different fuel like the premium and the super unleaded and things. These things cost money. So on top of just getting the oil to blend it, you need the material to put in them things, and then you have to pay over our staff a set of money, and they are rubber rouser, union shutting down. So every time they shut down, you lost money. So it was the government at the time was in a rock and a hard place, and we voted them into two things. One was the massive corruption we are getting we face, boldface and we face, and two, fix the issues of the country. That was everything that they did very well with it. Because today this UNC has not provided any plan on how they're going to steer the country going forward. All I only hear from them is that cut taxes and bring back the refinery and all these other things. These things cost money, and we will give this and we will give that and we're going to give that, and they're not telling you where they're going to generate the revenue for. And they already make war with the Venezuelan president. And I want to know how they will get the dragon gas. So who is Kamala going to send to Caracas, Venezuela, to sit down and talk with Maduro and his people? Who is Kamala going to send? Why all of them on the platform cussing the man and saying all kind of thing about the man? And narcotics, all kind of nonsense they hear when they see nonsense being put on Facebook, they repeat it on the platform. And they don't know that not that they don't know, they're so dotish that they didn't expect that when they see that it's live all over Facebook, people seeing it. So the president seeing that on his cell phone. The Kamala Persad, the original opposition leader of Trinidad and Tobago, because he can't ask me to see about me. So you pour let us out all let us and put Kamala there. Let me see how she will deal with it. Let me see how she will not deal with it. She the only thing I can see Kamala will do what she's accustomed doing. She will go down on knees and hands and kiss the man foot like what she did in India. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Eric, call me back. You have a few. I'll give you a few minutes. Eric, call me back. Going once, going twice. Dada, behave yourself. Dada, silly. Anon says UNC flooding the airwaves with crap while they mask their court cases for citizens to forget. Absolutely. Absolutely, that is what they are doing. And the media is complicit in assisting them in that foolishness. To me, I listened to some of the ridiculous questions that they asked Dr. Rowley. That clip that they played, I mean, that journalist was so disrespectful. I'm surprised Dr. Rowley entertained her. But anyway. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir.
I don't know why I had to always be the last caller to this program.
I don't know why you just do that.
Anyway, good afternoon to you, Dominic, the callers, the listeners of another segment of Facts and Stubborn Things. Let me take this opportunity to wish the Honorable Minister Stuart Young and soon-to-be Prime Minister a very happy 50th birthday. You know, 50 years is half of your life, right? So I know he have a lot to go going forward in the future, steering this country into the future. Right now, Dominic, I have some problems with regarding how the country is being run on a political landscape with respect to the general election that is due for this year. Over the years, we have witnessed the amount of parties that have come forward, right? We had from Badil Sagamaraj days come down to present. And from since 1956 till 2025, 69 years later, only one party stood in defense of this country called Trinidad and Tobago. We gave them a chance in 1995. We gave them a chance in 2010. We gave them a chance in 1986. And we gave them a chance in 2021. Of all those 4 chances that the opponents get in this country, what beneficial or what they would have benefited or contributed to the landscape and the development of this country? I want somebody in the UNC, in the TPP/PDP/ABC, whatever you call them, in Pandey administration, and in the ANR-led coalition in 86. I want them to tell me and right-thinking citizens of this country what they would have contributed to the development of this country in the 63rd year of independence this year. All the cost they want to cost the People's National Movement. This is the only party that would have took Trinidad and Tobago from colonialism to independence to republicanism and going forward into world status in 2020. But unfortunately, that was stopped cut short because of the so-called opposition leader who was Prime Minister then. And we thought and hoped that the change that they would have bring to the country wasn't a change, was a gimmick and a gimmickry and a self-serving bunch of kleptocratics that would have run that 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days. right? What they would have done. You see, they're talking about, under the then partnership thing was nice and flourishing, yes. But what they would have done to elevate and develop the country, other than thief, squander, and cause a certain racial division and nepotism in the country, what you all would have done, right? But coming this time around now, 15 years later, or they expecting the same luxury back in 2010 to 15, this time around with limited resources, right? Or they want Hamla Manjam, and when they didn't get it, or they want to cost the Prime Minister, or they want to cost the PNM, or they want to cost everybody, and people starving, and people catching the aunt, uncle, and nenen, right? But at the end of the day, what these people that who are aspiring to be the alternative to the People's National Movement, which will never happen. And I know Trinidadian and Tobagonian people are smarter than that. We may get a little one or two eater food in the mix. That's expected, right? But I want somebody to tell me and take into this what these 4 chances that the opponents got in this country, what they would have developed and enhanced this country, right? Because clearly, this time around, they try the same rhetoric where they try in 2015 and 2020 combined. The godly opposition leader would have put out an ad in the media last, I think it was either Wednesday or Thursday morning this week, right? Or they're creating 55,000 jobs. That was the same mantra they had in 2020, Dominic.
Yep.
The same mantra they had in 2015, but they say you put us in office, we're going to create 50,000 jobs. Or you come back with that same rhetoric 15 years later. Or you really, but then again, Dominic, they will appease to the people who are uneducated, who misinform, and who want to live and thrive on propaganda. That is what they want to thrive on. See, people like me and other people who just call this platform, who just launched this platform, they can't come with no BS or try to pull wool over our eyes. Right? This platform is facts. If you can't deal with facts, you're in the wrong arena. Right? It's not just about defending the PNM and defending what it did. This page is giving you the facts of what will happen and what you are likely to get if you take God on all your thoughts and vote back the United National Congress into office. You see, Fale, disgusting, and the bunch of what do you call them? Jellyfishes in the sea, all of them who's singing right now because they're hoping right now with Tobago, the ground with Tobago, although they might get these little old heads and them trying to take out PNM into there. But people in Tobago that's waiting on that set day for election to teach Fale Augustine and the bunch of ABCdarians he have behind him a valuable lesson. We gave you all, we did a mistake in 2021. It wouldn't happen again in no time in the future because all you put the people of Tobago right now on the back burner and giving all the contracts. It's a little I got to understand to south of the Caribbean River. So right now, as we speak, the UN, don't be surprised, Dominic, the UNC and the TPP will join a coalition. Don't be surprised, people. Kamala Persad and the UNC is trying all tricks in the book. She will rather sleep with any and everything to get into political power. So don't be surprised if she go and join an allegiance with TPP, right? Just how she want to go with Philip, with Roger, with all of them. And I see the COP now trying to crawl back into the UNC because you say the UNC is the viable option to get the PNM out. So all in all, it's a whole coalition again in one arena. And then you have the NTA, the Hope, and the other party and them in another arena. So people, the only party I know is the People's National Movement. Anything after that, according to the late great Manning, is chaos, bacchanal, confusion, and infighting. And these are the people who want to put themselves to you for your vote to put them into office to run your affairs from 2025 to 2030. And mind you, within that 5-year period, you have a local come up in 2027. So people, election has consequences. Your vote is not refundable. Your vote is not refundable. You can't go in the bank and deposit money, and when you and the bank have a cost out, they want a refund of your money. Your vote is for you to decide who you want to govern your affairs in this country going forward. Whether you want the country to progress going forward, or you want to have a eater food and the welfare administration who will give the people in this country handouts like Life Sport Round 2, Email Gate, Prison Gate, Hoop of Life, Children's Life Fund. All of these programs that was nonsensical, that caused and breeded corruption in this country. People, do the right thing. 2025 election is around the corner. You don't know it's Carnival, we will study about Carnival now, but after Carnival is when the real cookie of the campaign will actually start. So people, let's stay focused. Let us unite and get the People's National Movement headed by the Honorable Stuart Richard Young as the next Prime Minister and political leader to steer this country into the direction of prosperity, development status. Right? So Dominic, with that being said and done, just you let me know when you started your walking around, sir, and keep me abreast. Lots of listening.
Will do. Thank you so much. It is 2:09, folks. Let me thank you all as always for joining me. Pearl is saying she always had an alliance with TPP. They only have to formalize. That is correct. If the result comes down to that, where let's say the people of Tobago play fast and loose with their vote, and yeah, rest assured, the TPP will not be joined. The PNM position has always been we win alone, lose alone. So yeah, that's not going to happen, right? So obviously they'll run across. And when you have people like Ashwood Jack and them who are part of the TPP, chalk and cheese. Fali will say he doing whatever he has to do for the benefit of Tobago. So Terence Cummings, Big Chinny for Life Cummings. Thank you, sir, and a good day to you as well. Yes, Claire says we need to put boots on the ground to win. So true. Yeah. So thank you all so much. I should be starting my campaign this week. Just have one or two things to clear up, and then yeah, it's all speed, full speed ahead. Yeah, because we have to meet the people. A lot of people to go out there and meet. Thank you so much, Ruth, Dandy, Sandiford. Dandy says, I feel I have to keep out of this chat. If it's not done strolls, miss you and I miss there. As we own only bashing the people who are willing to contribute. What did I miss? I'll have to go back and check that. Thank you so much, Rosemary, Anne-Marie, and others. Salah Salam, thank you, sir. Donna. So we'll chat again on today's what? Aldeth Jones says, Jennifer Frederick, I'm not hearing you at all. We didn't hear from Jenny today. But we will chat on Tuesday morning, folks. Yeah, God's willing, 6:30. Sure, there will be lots more stuff to talk about. Maybe we can actually finally touch on that issue with Kevin Ramnarine and his bogus advice to Guyana with respect to their oil and gas sector and how that bodes for if he returns as Minister of Energy, God forbid. So I'm seeing someone here saying PNM must go. Someone by the name of Kelson. Never saw him before. All right. Well, that's your opinion, sir. PNM must go and be replaced by whom? Huh? You're so focused on PNM that you're not even seeing that what the alternative offers. And then when you put the alternative into government and the same nonsense they did between 2010 to 2015, Tiffin and so on, ministers being fired every Monday morning, all you come and say, well, Lemba statement that make no sense and whatever thing, and we need a new party and we need new blood and so on. That's exactly how it's going to go, right? Exactly how it's going to go. And then people, because same thing, 2010 to 2015, people who were advocating, I remember this one from 91.9 called Love in the House, when we had ILP and the Sunshine Hour. We talking, we never bad talk the PNM, but simply because we talking about the ILP and so on, he vexed Dr. Rowley this, Dr. Rowley that, and the PNM and whatnot, and all kind of thing cost me. Okay, Dr. Rowley and the PNM won. And then they come in now and now he's advocating for Kamala Prasad and the UNC. Suffering again from a case of didn't get. I tell you. Maggie Lovelace says TPP nothing. There's nothing going on in Tobago. Well, there you go. So all they can rely on is propaganda. And I keep telling them in that TPP page, every day, whole day is only PNM. I thought this was a TPP page to promote TPP, but they have nothing to promote. All it chief secretary and secretaries given all in nothing of substance to promote. If they cut a ribbon because they pave a road, all they had a post up there. They put up a sign, that's all. That's what you'll have to post up, but nothing of substance to post to say, yeah, get them a chance. But you have Mr. Private Jet. Mr. Private Jet, Trevor James wants to be an MP. Bunch of jokers. Who is this? All right, let me just take this last one here and then Nazit. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dominic.
Yes, sir.
I say I have extra time there. You know, these people they measure hypocrites about a new party and new blood. Right? I can give you examples, you know. Those so-called politicians that are going up that Canada on behalf of the UNC. Are those new blood? I want to find who going up for Tunapuna. You hear that rumor going about?
Yeah, I hear that rumor.
Yeah, I found them over the ILP.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Who going up for the seat in Carney? Right? A disgrace, former minister, who like to distribute food cards,
Yes.
Yes. And who going up for the seat in Miaro? A so-called expert in energy. Get paid with what 20,000 to 20,000 TT or 20,000 US?
Yep.
Right? And to say about, you know, and I keep saying, Dominic, question that you use a former ILP. So tell me something, one Kamala Prasad was a former NAR. And I feel she's still a NAR. Where was she when Basil Pandey founded Club 88?
Yeah, they forget these things.
Right? And if it wasn't for Basil Pandey, her political career would have been the cemetery because she lost her seat in 1991. It wasn't for Basil Pandey, he gave her the safe seat in Saparia. And the rest is history. Right? Even certain people from CUP to jump in. I don't know whether just CUP or UNC. There was one who claimed they say he was PNM. And he kept the party card on air. Right? And he went to Soapy. Well, you know what I'm talking about? Dominic,
yes,
Big Mouth.
I do. Yes.
Right? That's an example. And he was the MP in the seat that you represent now. And when I was sitting and put him in, saying that he's no longer the proper state candidate for St. Joseph.
Well, I understand it have a little bacchanal there, and well, there might be a little something because apparently that person had something and Gary Griffith show up on it, and yeah, so yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So they can't say about what you are talking about new blood and stuff like that. right? I want to say who they're going to replace with the PNM, definitely not the UNC.
Well,
And the TPP is not a Trinidad and Tobago party, it's a Tobago party.
yes.
Vying for independence. And then our next party called the APP. Right? But I don't think the leader is right in her head. It have another party formed by Basu Pandit daughter. But I don't know whether she coming or going. And then you have this other one with his blue party. It's either he independent or he combine his blue with the yellow party to form the Carib colors. So it's interesting, man.
Very much so. Interesting times ahead. Thank you. Right, so I see McDonald Bando is saying I could do a show tomorrow because 91.9 FM is dead. Google is the last deal holding it up. Wow, I haven't listened to them. So those two clowns still on in the afternoon. Professor Misinformation and Captain Clueless. Haven't listened in a while. Roxanne is asking me who is Pierce Robinson. So Pierce Robinson is a social media, Facebook commentator. He usually comments on most of the prominent issues taking place in the country. He was PNM leaning. I don't know where he is right now, because I have seen some of his posts that have been critical of the government, but he posted something with respect to that zipline matter, and the TPP is challenging him. So I will address that too, Roxanne. But I think he's a trainee who lives in the UK. Yeah, so he usually comments on a lot of those things. Donna says they're still on. Oh boy. Well, good luck to Iowa. And I'm seeing somebody mentioning about Lyndon Mack. Yes, I saw that P.S. Robinson would have addressed him as well. So folks, we will chat again on Tuesday, as I said. I saw someone asking just now. Right, so Waldeth Jones says, Dominic, you're not working in a constituency. So we have a little issue that I just need to sort out before I start to work, right? Because I have to put together my campaign team. And so I have proposals on the table from members of the current constituency executive. So just for me to iron out who from the team I would be going with, and my own persons that I will be bringing in, so that we can start the process. But the work is supposed to start this week. I'm in Tobago tomorrow because it's the final. Tomorrow is the Tobago zone of the Junior Calypso Monarch. So it's the last round of the preliminaries. So I'm just doing that, and then I've cleared my schedule from Tuesday going forward. Yeah, so just those little house keeping matters that I have to treat with, and then I'm gonna head out on the campaign trail and start meeting the people. So I mean, I've been doing it kind of meeting people and stuff by the way, and so on. But really, when we started working, which should start later on this week. So Dandy is asking, how can I become one of your members? Well, so you could reach out to me on the 770 Dandy, and we could chat from there. Let's see. McDonald says it have some listeners hanging on trying to breathe life into the station, but it's useless. Well, I will bring that upon himself. So that's his cross to bear. When you encourage nonsense, that's what has happened. So folks, Tuesday morning, 6:30. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. As I always say, stay safe on the nation's roads. Yeah, and make it a productive week. Yeah. All right. Take care.